Close enough. It's uploading. We got this. Cool. We are live. So yeah, we're live on episode 6 we're on now. Wow, it feels really we've done 6 episodes already.
I know it does not feel like we've done 6 episodes.
Well, I think it feels like we've done more just because I think they drafted one for 5.5 hours again.
Yeah, that was a long one. That technically should be 2 episodes, part 1, part 2.
Well, yeah, except we decided to make the script where we get one part and we're gonna go with
yeah,
it.
because no one in their right mind is watching a 5.5 hour podcast of us talking about the draft.
Especially us.
Yeah.
Come listen to us. Yeah, so welcome to the show. It's our 6th episode. MG and the Professor. I mean, we actually have a fairly light show, which is good for us, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we'll somehow still find a way to drag this thing out into about 3 hours.
Well, we've got enough live stuff going on.
It should be low for us because we're normally about 3.5.
yeah, it's a light show at 3 hours, except for that 1 hour show we did with Matt, which was great because we were in and out done. It was probably our best show.
It was a good show. We stayed on task.
Well, we only had one task. We couldn't screw that up that bad.
Maybe that's the key. Maybe we,
just
spreading ourselves a little too wide in the world.
I don't know.
Sports.
We do pro wrestling. We got sidetracked by that for like 3.5 hours.
That's true. We did talk about wrestling for a long time. We were booking. We're fantasy booking.
And
trying to get Vince's attention.
Well, right now it could be worse than 1999 WCW, as Mary Lee found out the hard way.
Yeah, it's really funny because right now, Raw is pretty terrible right now. I think it's the worst it's been in a long time. And I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they're like, I remember when everybody said like 2012 Raw was bad. It's like I bet everybody would be wishing for that now, like with how bad. Everything is booked there now. It's just the storylines and whatever the heck they're doing with Alexa Bliss and this, doll. Yeah, this possessed doll, and now Shayna Baszler may have been killed or kidnapped or possessed, or who knows where they're going with this. But anyway, the point is to say, however bad people think WWE, specifically Raw, is right now, as somebody who hasn't watched all of those Russo, WCW stuff, I've heard the stories, I've heard the legend of what the end of life WCW was like. And man, I feel like I would take current day Raw over that any day of the week. Because at least the matches know the rules.
And that's true. As Mary Lee found out the hard way, I linked her to a video of Bam Bam Bigelow, late Bam Bam Bigelow versus Brian Knobbs in a hardcore match in WCW in 1999. And he lost by countout.
In a hardcore match.
In a
false count anywhere match.
Yes.
How one gets counted out in a false count anywhere match.
Well, like Vinny Verhey said, he was nowhere. I vaguely remember that live. Wait, what the hell?
Yeah, I can see it being a head scratcher because and there's some intricacies in wrestling that allows people to kind of bend the rules a little bit, but there's something as straightforward as how somebody wins and how somebody loses. Like everybody knows in a false count anywhere match that you can't be counted out. You just because falls count anywhere. So how are you counting somebody out? You would be in the swimming pool. Like I just don't understand how they.
Like I said,
I don't know what they were going for there.
And like I said, I'd almost get it more if the woman got hurt.
Right. But if they needed like a way out of it, but they could have just gone to a non-finish. And that would have looked, as Vinny was saying, like that would have been dumb, but at least it would have made sense within the rules because you can have a match go to a non-finish. You can have like a medical, somebody throws up the X, but no, false count anywhere.
And
how you count somebody out, I don't know. But
Pro Wrestling's even had the false count match, and they've had it be in the Mississippi River earlier that year. The hardcore match between Bob Holly and Al Snow in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, let's have a hardcore match. The one thing WWE, their hardcore matches, some things it just makes your eye roll, and sense like they're good match. They're entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but let's have the guys fight outside in January in the North.
Doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking the safety for the camera guys, not everyone else. It's like, God, if they slip. You think Vince would be happy if they break one of those like $80,000 cameras?
Yeah, he wouldn't care if they got hurt, but God forbid they. Yeah, I was gonna say, God forbid the camera gets damaged. That's a whole wrestler's salary. He'd have to release somebody for that.
Or two. Not that he'd ever release wrestlers for petty reasons.
No. But not that he ever releases wrestlers, period. Not that we didn't just go through another set of releases in WWE.
And there's room to be more.
Yep. Yeah, there's another batch coming. I don't know when, but we're not done. So
yeah, our lead story
was not that.
Was definitely not that. But I had to get Marilee to give her thoughts on that, like for the greatest like promoter of all time in pro wrestling history. If you ask him.
if you ask him. Yeah, well, if I get to ask him anything, it's going to be Vince, WrestleMania 42, 2026. Where we at? Though? Where we at? No, Vince McMahon. Vince Russo is of no help in this department.
Yeah, because he'd be like, bro, I know. He'd do that to you too. We would count the number of bros and we'd just do shots every time he said bro.
If Vince Russo can find work in wrestling, and I don't mean like podcasting or anything like that, because let's be honest, the two of us have a podcast. Anybody can have a podcast. Not this hard in this day and age. But if he finds work, like working for a company in some sort of, whether it's talent relations, whether it's creative, whatever it is, if he finds a job in 2026, if he's sweeping
the floors,
I would be shocked, beyond shocked, if somebody is willing to give this guy work.
I mean, he had job security for in some place in Nashville for a couple years.
Yeah, and then even they realized, when even TNA realizes that you're shit, that's when you kind of hit the rock bottom.
That took them leaving Spike TV to find that out.
Yeah, they took a lot longer than probably should have, but
3 weeks.
Their priorities were a little different back then. They just wanted to stick it to WWE however they could. And for whatever reason, they thought that the guy that killed WCW was going to suddenly be good and, not kill them.
Not even that. It's just the sheer fact that they're like, okay, this guy, it's not even the anti-WWE. It's you killed WCW. It's just like, this guy's just like, okay, we have we have unlimited, we can say whatever we want.
Right.
Especially the early TNA stuff, they went full board, full swearing. It was just it just became it was the hybrid of the worst of WCW and the worst of ECW with one company, and it was just shoot me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was giving him 3 weeks. Okay, you're done.
Yeah. But it is what it is,
Yeah, that kind of job security and that kind of decent paycheck he probably got from WCW and from the Jarretts originally, then Dixie Carter.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was not, wanting for money at that time.
I'm betting not. But so, like I said, let's get to our real lead story, not Marilee's traumatic events from Vinny Vera High, which were 100% justified, by the way. Yeah, so we were talking about on our last show with golfers and I think JP mentioned John Rahm by name.
He did.
That he deserves he's one of the guys that hasn't won a major yet. And then also I remember watching that live. I don't know if you watched it.
No, I didn't.
I remember I was watching him. He just hit he shot an 8 under that day too. An 8 under 64.
Wow.
And he would have won this tournament outright. But because the guys the next day they only finished at 13 under and he was already at 18 under.
Yeah.
So he could play he should have shot a 77 and been fine. Which is absolutely absurd for a guy like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is just crazy because it's almost, not to say but we've talked about this before, we're on if you're looking at COVID in terms of there being a curve, we've kind of reached the peak of that curve and everything should be, we hope everything should be trending downward. So to hear, not to say athletes don't get COVID in 2021, baseball has had their, fair share of them over the past couple months, but it just, for whatever reason, hearing that he got it and as a result of that, his US Open, chance is in jeopardy, it all depends on if he can get a negative test. I think you have to, what is it, two negative tests over like a 10-day quarantine or whatever. But yeah, so like literally the timing of it, I mean, in some ways the timing of it is perfect if he does get the negative test, because it's right at the back end of what that, quarantine period would be. But to hear an athlete, has to leave a tournament when, it's not even like he was in the tournament, but he wasn't doing well. He was in the tournament, he was winning, and he was going to win most likely. It would have taken a, stratospheric collapse to make him lose that tournament. So it's just very unfortunate that, that happened. But
I was gonna say, I know one way he could lose. I know one way I could lose. Well, the thing was, he had one shot.
He had one shot, so he was waiting on his second one.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to get the vaccine like next week or something like that. I would say, I know one way we can make him lose the golf tournament.
Yeah, we'll have you show up.
oh, trust me. I think I'm surprised I did not, because I talked to JP like, Rays is happening. I'm like, holy crap! Like he like I feel bad for the caddy. I felt bad for the other guy's caddy, the guys golfing with, the people like in the stands, like the signal bearers, like every little thing. Like as a person that's worked golf tournaments, as we talked about last show, that I did I've done 21 golf tournaments. I don't know if you know that. Like, I mean, 14 like wins out the LPGA when I was here. Then I did like the Xerox Classic, and I did the senior PGA like 3 years ago. And it was just like, it packs the volunteers. Like, they didn't even let them sign the scorecard. They didn't let them in the cabin to sign the scorecard. Like, they literally pulled him off the golf course after he finished his last shot in 18.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because they literally got the results back at like the second, because he failed the test in the morning, but you need to pass failed 2 tests, I guess.
Wait, so he had failed the first test. They still let him go out
after the third round. Yeah, they want to double. It's like failing. It's almost like failing a drug test. Like they wanted to verify it. Like when he was out there.
See, I don't agree with that. I mean I get that false positives were a thing that was happening, and yeah, sure, if it was a false positive and you took him out of the tournament and he ended up testing negative, like that would suck. But at the same time, you're now exposing the golfers that he golfs with. You're exposing, like you said, their caddy, his caddy, the fans, the camera people, like anybody who's anywhere remotely around him.
And if you got a boom mic, you're within 5 feet of him.
Yeah, which is not
literally your
social
job.
Distance, kind of length. Yeah, I don't agree with that decision. I think they could have very easily, it kept him out, had him test again, and if he tested negative the second time, just let him golf his 18. Like, who cares if everybody else has already golfed? There's weird, COVID has led to having to do some weird things in sports. I think that would have been totally acceptable, as opposed to exposing everyone potentially to, the virus.
Right. I'm not justifying either way. I'm just explaining more what happened. Like, the second round finished on like Saturday morning, like because of rain delay, I think it was in Columbus. So like they literally, that's when he got tested, was like after his second round. But he actually supposedly came in contact with someone on Monday. So they were testing him every day, and he was getting negative results all the way like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He had a negative. Saturday morning he pops a positive.
Right, but as we've kind of learned, there's an incubation period for that virus, so it shouldn't have surprised them that after all these negatives, he finally tested positive.
Right. It's like I mean, I can personally relate to like I know it happened at work. Like this guy like took a quick test, like the 1-day test turnaround, like the athletes mostly get, and it was negative. And he says like I still feel like I've got the symptoms. He took the full-on test, and like he found out 3 days later, yeah, I'm positive.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the incubation period or the sheer fact that it's like it's a more intricate test.
Yeah, I mean they have said that about the PCR test, that they're more likely to give you either false negative or false positive, because they're just, I mean, it's a quick test. It's not as intricate as something that takes longer to get the results. There's a reason why it takes longer to get the results, because of how the test works. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've had a year of this. Like we've had the opportunity to learn. We've had the opportunity to figure out what are best practices. How do we, with these athletes, how do we operate things so that we're limiting the risk, not just to them, but in a situation now where fans are back on, fans are back on the course, fans are back in the stands. If an athlete is testing positive, it's not going to be as crazy in a sport like basketball, or, well, probably more basketball than it would be like baseball or football, because the way your stands are, you're not really ever that close to the player. But in something like golf, you're right there. Yeah, like there's a rope and then there's you. And that golfer could be anywhere,
Or heaven forbid they shoot a crap golf shot. Not that
right, then they're literally in the galley.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like the PGA should have been more responsible.
Oh, I agree. It's like I said, I would pop him. I made him, if he had got a negative, I would have had him golf by himself, like after, like everyone else. Like I agree with you, said 100%. I'm surprised, honestly. I get to why they want to like pull him right out, but like I'm surprised they didn't let him finish, in the sense of like that reason, have him golf by himself, have him be socially distant.
Right.
Because I mean, but that also answered the question: what do they do if it's a leader in a golf tournament?
It's an unfortunate situation, but what happens if you're the leader in a golf tournament and you break your leg?
Tiger Woods still finish the round.
Well, okay, rare example, but
Kurt Angle would do with a broken freaking neck. Let's be real here.
My point being,
right,
that you get pulled for other things, and nobody, like, it sucks for you. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And this was, whether he did anything right or wrong, it's not his fault that he hadn't had a chance to get his second shot yet. I mean, one could argue that he's a professional athlete. He probably didn't need to wait until June to get his shot. I would imagine he's old enough that he would have been able to get his, it's not like he's 16. It's not like he had to wait for this last round of, like, he would have had an opportunity to get vaccinated sooner. Maybe the schedule, his golf schedule, whatever the case might be. I don't want to throw blame on him for not being fully vaccinated at the time. But it's that idea that, it's unfortunate, but you got sick, and the rules are what the rules are. And if you can't finish the tournament, he tested positive. If he tests positive after the second round, they're not going to put him out there even to golf by himself for the third round. It just would have been, his tournament would have been over. It would have sucked, but his tournament would have been over.
Yeah, I would deem it like a medical withdrawal.
Yeah, that's what you'd have to do. Almost like a disqualification. Like, sorry, it sucks.
Well, yeah, it'd be disqualification because you don't sign your golf card.
For the money you're going to lose, but health and safety have to be paramount in sports, and that's something that people have complained about. Sure. Well, yeah, certainly in life, but people complain about in sports because there's this idea that sports prioritizes the business aspect. They prioritize the money over the health and safety of their players. And there was such a big issue with bringing athletes back to sport, and part of that was part of the reason. Athletes we don't want to come back unless we can make sure that we can get tested. This was before the vaccine. It was, we want to make sure that we can get tested. We want to make sure that there are protocols in place so that the clubhouse is clean, and if a player does test positive, the contact tracing is all, and those are all very fair things for athletes to want. These leagues, I don't want to say that they don't care about that, but if it comes down to how much money are we going to make versus, putting in all of these protocols and everything, I think, as we can tell by what happened with how the baseball season unfolded last year, Major League Baseball completely prioritized money and their television contracts over what was best for the players at the time. Because when they first started playing and people, players were testing positive almost left and right, like, that should have been a red flag. It would have sucked, but they should have said, call off the season. We can't do it. We're not prepared.
They would have also saved money.
Ultimately, in the end, they would have, the losses that the teams would have.
They lost $3.5 billion last year, Major League Baseball, from that. From playing for playing the games.
Yeah. But
like I said, they would have lost something, I think it was like $1 billion if they didn't.
So, I don't know. It's just the whole thing, and even like at the college level, it's all about the money. It's all about the television contracts. It's all about, the revenue, because that's how these programs can continue to exist and stay at the top and be at the top and continue to recruit these top players.
Or even just exist.
Right. So to and like I said, I don't want to say that they don't care about health and safety, but sometimes the optics don't make it look like they're prioritizing that. And you look at the NFL with like the whole concussion problem. They tried to hide it. They tried to hide it before they tried to fix it. So that just kind of goes to show, like, how much do we value our players' health? We value it while they're on the field, but 10, 15 years down the line, how much do we really care what's going on with their health on all of these issues that, from accumulating injuries, players are still dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, I can 100% relate to that.
Somebody who has had your fair share of athletic injuries.
Yeah, I've had more than families. Let's put it that way. To be totally honest with you, but yeah, it's like, I mean, it was a great ending of the golf tournament. They actually had to go to a two-hole playoff. They do 2 holes in a playoff. It was exciting as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been a moot point, because if he actually did finish and they didn't find out, it would have been interesting if it was a Sunday. Like we talked about a little bit, like you and I did off the air, like Molly, right after it happened, because you had no clue what's going on. Then I'm like, big news. Like, we got our lead story whenever we do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been like, he would be able to qualify for the U.S. Open because his 10-day would have ended on a Friday, and the U.S. Open starts on a Thursday. Also, with him not being able to sign a scorecard, in the final round, he would be disqualified again, and it would have been like, oh, I mean, granted, they have things right in place what to do, but been like, oh crap, what do we do on national TV?
Yeah, it's
live
almost
TV.
Better that it kind of unfolded the way that it did, both for him in the sense of still being able to potentially qualify for the U.S. Open, and of course them not having to have that total last minute, still scramble, obviously, when you have somebody pull out.
That would have been a brutal scramble.
Yeah, that would have been crazy to imagine how that would have gone down.
Especially because the fans wouldn't have a clue.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Because they'll be like, what the hell's going on? Didn't you just win?
Yeah. But I mean, hopefully this is something that we're not talking about next year. Hopefully we're not.
Or even
we don't have to worry about players who are pulling out of tournaments because of COVID. We don't have to worry about athletes that are, going on a COVID IL. That is a specific injury list that, baseball added. I think football has one too. That literally it's like you're not on the.
You're on the roster, but you are.
Right. It's one of those, if you're on the COVID IL, you get a free roster spot frees up, compared to if you're on just the regular, injured reserve disabled list, then it kind of works out differently. But that was something that they added because they knew that there were going to be players who were going to test positive or who were going to be close contacts and, who had to do the 10-day quarantine. It was just the way that it was. And
I actually liked the way the NFL actually did it last year with the injury reserve and all that. Like, it was like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, everything they did, they should, honestly, even when COVID ends, I'd love to keep everything they added last year. Bigger practice squad. I mean, this is kind of segueing into our next thing, sort of. I mean, we can jump around because it's our show. But like I said, like, bigger practice squads. Hey, like, this guy's got hurt. He's hurt for 3 weeks. Let's just free up a spot instead of going like, hey, we have to use a spot because he's hurt.
Well, they should have bigger practice squads and all that stuff anyway. Now that they've gone to 17-game season.
Absolutely, they should, and they should have protected. I like the idea of having protected practice squad players. Because here's an idea: let's develop a player.
No, the NFL doesn't do that.
Well, they really don't, actually. But yeah, it's just like, oh my god, like. So yeah, that's our fun. We thought with back-to-back time shows, we'd lead off with golf.
It is America's sport.
I'm sorry, I didn't, and it's also Scotland's sport. Like, so I apologize, I couldn't get my golf guy JP back. I'm sure he'd be a little bit outspoken about it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, that's kind of all that you can really do at this point. You hope he gets better. Hope he's able to play in the U.S. Open, and if he's not, then there's going to be other tournaments. There's other majors. He's still young. He has an opportunity, to win these other tournaments, even if he misses the U.S. Open. So, just hope for a speedy recovery for him.
So before we get to the fun baseball story of mine,
the best baseball story.
It really is. It's the baseball story of the year, and it's unless you're a Pirates fan, which is like 3 of you.
There goes that audience. I'll add them to the list. Where's my list of Jericho for all the people that we've annoyed that they're not going to listen?
I don't think there's enough pens in the world to write all that.
Country of Canada, check. That was like episode 1.
Yes, it was. I was going to mention, because I forgot to put on the rundown, you see that Nadal is just dominating the French Open again.
No one should be surprised.
I think it's just the longevity of it all.
The fact that he almost made it all the way to the semifinals again without dropping a set.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for, Schwartzman, who is one of like 4 players to ever beat Nadal on clay, period, he would have, I think he had some 20-something straight, not having dropped the set at the French Open. Crazy kind of numbers. And, Djokovic and Nadal should be a final, but due to the way that the draw worked out, all 3 of them being on the same side of the draw, it's a semifinal, not a final, but it's still going to be, incredible. Nadal is most likely going to win. Djokovic has a shot, but Nadal is most likely going to win. And, at that point, I don't know. I don't know why people still doubt this guy, because he has shown that age is not a problem for him. He has shown that his history of knee injuries are not a problem for him. When it comes to the clay, there's just something about his game that translates so well to clay. Like, I made this comment a few years ago. It's like, if he only played the French Open, like that's it. He didn't do Wimbledon. He didn't do, US Open, any of these other tournaments. If he only played the French Open, he could play tennis for another 20 years and still win every single time. It would not surprise me if like a 50-year-old Rafael Nadal was still winning the French Open if that's all he did. Like just played clay. So it's pretty remarkable. And it was kind of funny because I was watching the Tennis Channel the other day, and they said if he wins this tournament, it's going to be 14. Just at 14 at Roland Garros.
Insane.
And they were comparing it to like the total majors that guys like Jim Courier, that guys like McEnroe have, that guys like Sampras. Like, he literally has more French Open titles than most guys all time have won total majors.
Well, let's put this way.
Absolutely incredible.
I know it's crossing sports, but look at it this way. Jack Nicklaus is more majors than anyone in golf, and he's got 18.
Yeah. Nadal almost has that in French Opens alone. Like, and I understand why some people, it's hard for them to say that he's the greatest because his success is not necessarily limited to that one surface, but, if you were to take out French Opens, he would only have like 6 majors, which still a lot, still good.
Yeah.
But, clearly the bulk of his success has come from that single surface dominance. But the way that I look at it as he's the greatest to ever play on clay. He has had to face Federer, one of the greatest of all time. He has had to face Djokovic, one of the greatest of all time. Like, this era of the big 3, it's almost not going to matter at the end of the day how you rank them 1 through 3. All 3 of them are the top 3 tennis players to ever play the game.
Oh,
and they're going to continue to be the top 3 tennis players because they have done something that guys before them just couldn't do because the science wasn't there. The science wasn't what it was for guys to continue to be playing into their, and Nadal, I think, is 35 now. Federer is somewhere around 37, 38, and he, of course, withdrew from the tournament, and, that's the whole...
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing that, some people had problem with. They said he should have just not entered if that was kind of how he was feeling. But
didn't he have that one hell of a first round though?
Yeah, he won his match and then he withdrew.
Right. So, but wasn't it a fairly long match though? That's why he withdrew.
I don't know if it went the full 5, but it was a bit of a grueling match. The one that before he withdrew, that was cited as part of the reason. He is getting up there in age, as we talked about. The only thing that is inevitable is you can't beat Father Time. You could delay him, you can't beat him. But it's just remarkable, any one of those 3 guys, and probably at this point, the odds are that Djokovic will end his career with the most majors simply because he can win on 3 of 4 surfaces. I think Federer's probably done. I don't want to count him out because the last time I counted him out, he won a major that I just back in like 2018 or something like that. Was not expecting it. The last time I counted Tiger Woods out, he won a major. So I don't want to say like Federer is not going to win another major, but at this point, Djokovic is more likely to win more majors per year than Federer. Nadal will continue to win the French Open for as long as he wants to win the French Open. I'm convinced of that. Like, if ever there was a point where I thought he was done, this year has shown me, just watching the quality of his matches and how he has, he has the ability to turn on another gear when he plays, and it's just incredible. So yeah, I don't, if I ever doubted him before, I don't now.
I would word it in the sense I would say I wouldn't be surprised he never wins again, but I'd be more than welcome to him winning.
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't bet against him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, especially when it comes to Wimbledon, that's his tournament, that's his baby. There was no Wimbledon last year, and a lot of people thought that last year might be his last year doing the full tournament cycle. But with COVID and everything, who knows if everything just kind of got pushed back or what he's going to do. But
I mean, the way you gotta look at it, like I look at it for any sport, especially if it's like step back, like it's one less year of abuse.
Right. Your body is not going like, yes, you're getting older, but your body is not going through that toll.
Your body's like, thank you.
Right. Because tennis is grueling for anybody who's ever played it. I played it very briefly in college. I took a class and was the hardest thing I ever took. About, like, I've taken physics, I've taken hard sciences and maths and all that.
I'm not laughing, you really.
Taking tennis was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, just because of what it requires. And I feel like people underestimate tennis athletes a lot because they're like, oh, they just run back and forth and they hit a ball. Like,
put a pedometer on yourself and run around for 5 hours.
Do you know the amount of distance that is covered when they run back and forth and hit a ball?
Nadal's got to be running 10 miles a game.
Yeah, miles. So it's definitely a grueling sport. You put a lot on your body, and the way that the tennis season is structured, there's a lot of travel. There's a lot of wear and tear that just comes from
all over the world.
from not being able to sleep in your own bed. You're constantly on the go. You're constantly practicing. You're constantly entering these tournaments. And, the majors alone are split in 4 different continents. So, I don't know. 4 different countries, 3 continents.
Yeah, I was saying, wait.
Yeah. Two are in Europe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, it's like you gotta look at it this way. It's like just logistically alone, except just the 4 majors alone. Imagine going in a year. You're going to Paris, roughly. I know it's outside of Paris, but you get the point.
Yeah.
You're going to Paris. You're going to London. You're going to New York. You're going to Sydney. You're going to Australia.
Yep.
Just flying there is a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, and even, part of the reason why I think Federer did withdraw from the French Open is because he knows his best chance to win a major is not this tournament, it's Wimbledon. And because the French Open was pushed a week
early.
Right. No, a week late from where it normally is, they pushed it back a little bit because the way that France's COVID restrictions were, they wanted to be able to get some fans. Wimbledon is literally on the tail end of the French Open. So I don't even know how many, additional tournaments they're going to have in between these 2 majors. And fortunately, they're the 2 in Europe. So as far as travel goes, it's the least amount of travel. But can you imagine doing French Open in May, June, Wimbledon in June, July, and then September, you're doing the US Open?
Yeah,
that's
and then,
a lot.
Isn't December or January for the Australian Open?
Australian, I think, is January. I think it might be January into February, but yeah, still, that one is the longest break theoretically in between the other majors.
It's still a pain in the ass to get there.
Right,
Unless you're
and
Australian.
there's still other tournaments that you play throughout the year because there's ATP level 250s, there's ATP level 500s, there's the 1000 Masters, and those sub tournaments, like you don't have to enter, but that all helps determine your ranking. Your ranking helps determine your seeding. So there's strategic reasons why, you know, some of the big players don't enter all the little tournaments, why other players enter these tournaments. But yeah, it's a grind. It's an absolute
I'm not
grind.
huge into
No
tennis,
off season.
but it's like I found enough golf to understand tennis.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very similar in that sense.
Yeah, the way that the points rankings and all that is, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, yeah, you could literally, like, I mean, most people that watch golf watch the U.S. Open, the British Open, the Masters, and the PGA Championship, and now they're back, and then now they're 4 months in a row.
Yeah, it's rough.
I mean, the difference between golf and tennis is at least you're on the same surface every time for the 4 majors. The only major that's in golf that's the same as the Masters.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
they still
that's true.
And they still tweak it.
Yeah, you're a different course every time. You know, you're golfing on the same surface, but it's a different course, so the level of difficulty is definitely, you know, differs based on the course and based on your.
It's all hard.
Yeah. Well, all sports are hard.
That's not true. But actually, it is. But that's not the point. Yeah, especially if you ask a certain professional baseball team that wears black and yellow. Baseball's really hard, and I really heard that guy that I really heard a really good joke about it too. I'll share with you afterwards. So yeah, so we're gonna talk about the greatest baseball team of all time, possibly. Are these the 2 dumbest plays of all time? Well, not the second one, probably not, because it's actually fairly common. I've seen it happen numerous times.
Yeah, like I said, you know, before we got on the air, I'm more willing to give that a pass as far as it not being like dumb in the sense of I don't know how the game is played. More dumb in like, you know, I'm going a mile a minute. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going, and I miss hitting first base. Like that to me is still more excusable than what they did on defense.
The only thing that pissed me off about the whole thing, his first base coach missed it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was even looking.
See, that's a bigger problem. I mean, but that's a symptom of, you wonder why this team you can't count last year because they didn't play 162 games.
I don't care.
But you wonder why this team has lost 100 games in each of the past.
They probably lost 100 games last year too.
4 or 5 years. Well, they can't lose 100 games. They only played 60.
I don't know. Well, in the Pirates case,
you don't get like multiple losses for really bad. Like, oh, we're gonna give you 2 losses because you made that bad play. But yeah, there's a reason why the Pirates are not a good team. And it is organizational. It does come from the top. And you know, everybody always says like, yeah, they're small market and they can't compete with all this. But look at the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins have one of the lowest payrolls in baseball, and they made the playoffs last year.
They must win the World Series.
Yeah, they made the playoffs last year. They've won World Series with this payroll. So I don't know.
Well, not the first one. They had
well, yeah, the first one, it was like the expansion. They had all that. Yeah, because they couldn't afford to keep any of those guys. But
well, that's because, and then there's Jeffrey Lurie, you know, Philadelphia's pride and joy. I mean, the guy like just fire sells teams.
Yeah, that's what he does.
So he is in baseball. I don't know. I mean, he's better with the NFL, but that's a whole different caboodle. But yeah, what we're talking about is, okay, you want to do offense or defense first?
Let's go with the better of the 2 plays. So let's go with offense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for that kid because, like, it's the third baseman. I just blanked on his name.
Brian Hayes.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, he just can't. It was his first game back from injury, which makes it 1,000 times worse. No.
Adding insult to injury, it's an expression for a reason.
And this is probably like example A. Guy hits a gorgeous like line drive home run, barely gets out, almost hits the foul pole. Like it's like one of those that just squeaks over the Roberto wall. Awesome home run. All of a sudden, he starts running the bases. You can clearly see if he misses first base, and he just proceeds to score. And then they already thought that Jim Tracy, the manager of the Dodgers, was going to challenge if it was a home run or not. Because it was overturned by replay.
Right.
they thought he's going to replay, see if he went foul.
Hmm.
No, I think the first baseman told him, "Hey, he didn't touch first base."
Yeah.
So I was like, we'll replay that. And by God, the replay shows. I mean, he stepped on either side of the base.
Yeah, I don't know how you miss first base. Like, unless you're intentionally missing first base, you almost hit it by accident if you're running in the base path.
Yeah, you kind of do because you're designed to run through first base.
Right. Yeah, that's why most people end up like 2-3 feet beyond the bag because you run through it.
And you're allowed to.
Yeah. No one's going to tag you out.
They can't.
Right. It's part of the rule. You're allowed to do that. So to miss first base, I mean, I guess it being a home run, you're not going as fast. You're doing the trot.
That even makes it worse.
You're maybe not thinking about it, but I still feel like even accidentally, you would touch first base if you were running in the base path the way you should be. Well, like that too. You do this how many times?
Like I said, you play Little League baseball. I play Little League baseball. What's the first thing they teach you?
Yeah, touch them all.
The announcers don't say that, but for cosmetic, or aesthetics, they've got other announcements for that. In which I do love mine for my home run at the show, but that's a whole different story for right now.
But yeah, I mean, and you even think about like when they teach you about sliding, it's always about finding the part of the base where you're going to avoid the tag. So everything involves the bases and how you run them. And I just don't understand. Like I said, the only reason why I think I'm willing to give Ke'Bryan a pass on this one
because it's so common
is
common.
And the fact of when you have two plays that you're comparing and one of them is so bad, like this is what I was talking about earlier with Russo and WCW comparing it to today's Raw. Like today's Raw is terrible. There's no getting around that. But when you compare it to something that is so much worse, the other thing looks okay by comparison.
Do you know the worst thing about that whole thing too? Is the people in that comments, I don't know if you read any of them.
I didn't.
You're like in the extreme minority.
Really?
I would take this over WWE in 2018, 2012, 2021.
People are stupid because at least this product is watchable. That I don't know. But the point being, if we were just talking about if the Pirates did not do what they did on defense earlier in a couple weeks ago, and we were just talking about this miss base thing, I feel like it would be viewed in a different light. But because I'm looking at it in the sense of how can this team have two plays that are so bad and just so you don't understand the game
and they were both at home.
And they were both at home. Like Pennsylvania has allowed there to be 100% capacity of fans at these games. And I don't know much about what Pittsburgh did pre-COVID, versus post-COVID. But there ain't fans in those stands to watch the team do this.
I went to one of the last games before the lockdown, as in it was the second to last game of the season in 2019, and there's no way in hell they're making the playoffs. I think they won 56 games that year.
Yeah,
something like that. It was like you said, it was over 100 losses. There was probably 25,000 people on a Friday night.
That's actually more than I would have thought.
I think it's because it was a Friday night and they had
It's Friday in Pittsburgh. I guess there's not too much to do. I mean, it's a major city, but
it's easy to get to, and the tickets are fairly reasonable.
Yeah, that's true. You actually can go to a Pirates game for almost minor league prices, which kind of makes sense because they're playing
I think
like
minor
league team.
Minor league teams are better. Even the Rochester Red Wings.
I'm actually curious now how many straight years they've lost 100 games. Not, of course, counting last year because
I think they
possible to lose 100
games
games
recently, like a couple years ago, accidentally or came close.
Accidentally, I don't know. But I'm about to find out. Okay, so they're 23-38 this year. So they've somehow found a way to win 23 games.
Yeah, which is still early.
Borderline impressive. But let's see here.
Yeah, you should take the whole it's got to be a lot.
I thought it was like 3 or 4 years in a row. It was literally between them
Sounds
and the Seattle Mariners for who was going to be the worst team for several years. And you would think a team that got that many draft picks.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. Like law of averages, if you get the number one overall pick that many years in a row, you should probably be a decent team. It's like the Detroit Tigers.
Right. Yeah. They're just not developing them. I mean, this year you're finally starting to see some of those players like Casey Mize. The other one name just escaped me. But you're finally starting to see them kind of make their way into the majors. That's kind of the thing with baseball. You normally
it's a 5-year plan.
Yeah, you don't see the results of your bad team, turning into your good draft.
Or unless you've got like a hell of a prospect coming, like Ken Griffey Jr., Steven Strasburg,
well, yeah, guys like Bryce Harper that spent half a second in the minors. And
did he even spend a second in the minors?
He definitely did play minor league baseball. It was not a lot, but I'm pretty sure he did spend
but he was also like a top 10 draft pick,
or something. Yeah. Oh yeah, he was. Well, when he was drafted, literally he was like what Shohei Ohtani is. Bryce Harper was that kind of guy in high school. He was pitching 95 miles an hour. He was, hitting 380 or something crazy like that. I remember him being on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was in high school. And it was because he was this phenom that had come into the game. So yeah, like not everybody's a phenom. Not everybody spends a cup of coffee in the minors. A lot of people are there a lot longer.
Or they never get out of them.
Or, well, yeah, that's true. It's almost part of the minor league system. It's kind of a trap for some people. You just not good enough to get out.
Well, like you said, it's like a 5-year plan. If you're not out of it by 5 years, you're not going to get above AAA.
Yeah. All right. So they lost 69. They won 69 games in 2019. So they only lost 93 that year.
Only.
They did not lose 100 games. Digit. Yeah. So my apologies, Pittsburgh Pirates fans, for besmirching you for not being as terrible as I thought that you were.
Oh, they're worse.
But when I say that, it's a good segue into, because it's really hard to say that you're not as terrible as I thought you were when you do what you did on defense against the Cubs.
How don't you touch first? My first question to you. He was, 3 feet away from first base?
I don't know. I can't even begin. Did you see
Anthony Rizzo's reaction?
Yes. And
he almost fell out of the dugout laughing.
Fantastic. Like, the Cubs literally were mocking the Pirates as this was happening. And the Pirates deserved every last bit of it. Because, come on. How can you not... Like, we talk about the rules of the game. We talk about, knowing, like, what you have to do and all of these just basic instinct kind of things about baseball. Did this guy just forget the rules of the game? Did he not
was a first-round pick?
There were 2 outs? Yeah, he's not supposed to be a bad player. But I don't know. I mean, I watched that video so many times trying to see if I was missing something. Like, was there something about the play that I didn't see that would make it make sense?
You saw probably all the permanent proper ones, didn't you? You didn't see the urinary entry did one on it.
Oh, no. I just saw the official clips.
Let's just put this right. He puts a graphic on first base and points, and it blinks. It says, "Go here, dumbass." Or touch your dumbass, one of the two. Either way, it's like you're a moron.
Yeah, and it's just when things like that happen, is
that the worst play? Is it the worst play in baseball history?
I don't know, because I have not seen every play in baseball history, but I can certainly tell you from the clips and the interviews and stuff that I've seen, most of the people that have seen it have said, I have never seen anything like this before. Like, I've been covering the game for 40 years and I have never seen anything like this before. So that tells me something. I defer to their historical knowledge of the game of baseball.
I think my dad's laughing from upstairs. Be like, the fuck.
Yeah, it's just
touch first.
Yeah, but in both instances, it comes down to the very basic principle of the game.
So that's the joke of
touch first.
This is the crude joke of the night. because the PH does not stand for Pirates and Pittsburgh Pirates on their hat. He says it stands for Puritans, and you know what the Puritans and the Pirates have in common?
They don't touch first.
They don't like first base.
But
it's funny because it's true.
It's just I don't know. I mean, there have been some dumb plays in baseball this year,
and I've seen them.
You know, so this isn't alone, but it's so bad.
Well,
it's in a category of its own.
Well, it's not even the whole touch here, dumbass, for first base. When they finally threw it to first base, it was the second baseman running over,
right,
and he's not even there yet. And
they were completely misaligned. They had no idea what they were doing.
And then they throw it second, and they mess up that throw too. And the worst part was
that's how Baez ended up on third base on edge.
And the worst part is Baez scored that inning.
Yeah. Yep.
On a blue.
weak ground out that should have been an easy, just done. You're done.
I hate to say that you and I could have done that, but I think you and I could have done that.
I mean, if all I had to do was not be in position to catch the ball or do all that, because I don't know about that coordination, but if all I had to do was beat him to first base, yes, I do think that I could have done that.
Or just stayed on first base and I throw you the ball.
That's also true, because I'm pretty sure if he wasn't on first base, he was pretty close to it when he got the ball and
back in the Bears box.
Decided to do whatever the heck he was doing. I don't know.
Like I said, he was almost back in the Bears box.
Yeah. But
Javier Baez was.
But all this said about how bad the Pirates defense was, got to give a heck of a lot of credit to Javi Baez for seeing that develop and knowing that he was going to be able to trick this guy into getting that run scored.
I think if he didn't stop, I think he wasn't left. He was probably left hysterically running the bases.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And if he wasn't, he probably got inside the park home run.
Yeah, there's no way that he expected that at bat to end with him on third base. There's no way.
No.
But once he got past the first baseman, once he, that worked out in his favor, and as the commentators were saying, the guy on third, who cares who it was? That was completely irrelevant to the play. Baez was always going to be the magic man. They don't call him El Mago for nothing. He does stuff like this. And for whatever reason, he's really good at it.
Before the netting got extended, I wouldn't be surprised if the ball went then 40 rows in the grandstand, and I've been less disappointed in the Pirates. I've seen that too.
Speaking of netting.
If a player has no control and they just overthrow first base, I've seen it go in the stands, and I think that's less embarrassing.
Right. Right, because at that point that you don't have the opportunity to keep fumbling the ball and literally bad news bearsing yourself over the entire field. Even the bad news bears probably don't make that play. They probably step on first base. But speaking of netting, did you see what happened in the Phillies game this past weekend? When the net behind home plate just came down. Literally, this was the weirdest game because the game started. One of the
It had to be a hell of a delay.
It was 22 minutes. One of the gets injured at the beginning of the game. He got hit by a foul ball, and they think he got a concussion or something. But he was literally nauseous, so he had to leave the game. So there was the first delay. They're then playing the rest of the game with a 3-man umpiring crew. Because they didn't have, they don't have another guy. There's not a bench umpire who's ready to come in. So they moved the guy who was the crew chief, ended up behind home plate, and they figured it out. So they're playing a 3-man. Yeah, they're playing a 3-man umpiring crew. So that's all going on. The game is going fine. It's, there's a lot of craziness as far as the scoring.
And then
we're putting up lopsided numbers. I think we're playing the Nationals, maybe. Whoever we're playing, they're putting up lopsided numbers. It was kind of a crazy game. And it doesn't get hit by anything, because this was my whole thing. It was did it get hit by something? Did it get hit by the ball? Did it, did somebody tap it? Were fans playing with it? What was it? No, this thing literally just comes down from the top. It falls about halfway down, almost hits the umpire in the head. And they're like, well, we can't. It was like the bottom of the 8th inning or something. So technically, the game was official. The home team had batted. We had the lead, so it was fine. We had gotten our last at bat in, and they're trying to figure out, like, are we still going to play this game? Can we fix this net? And they spent about 20 minutes. The grounds crew was out there. They had people from Aramark, who's the food vendor. They're out there. They're moving the fans out of the way. They're trying to figure out, like, what can we do? So they come up with this temporary fix where one of the guys who, the former Boy Scout, knows how to tie a damn good knot.
I was thinking zip tie it.
No, well, zip ties were part of. They were going to use zip ties if this idea didn't work, but they had this pole of string, it's pretty thick rope, and he tied it to the railing by the section behind home plate. So, like, they had to move all the fans out of the way just in case this rigging was gonna fall down. But yeah, they literally rope tied it with a Boy Scout knot to the handrail that you use to walk down the stairs, and they were able to finish the rest of the game.
Jesus.
It was crazy, and it
Were
took
you
it took
there?
about
Were you
22
watching
minutes. No, I was watching it, and the funny thing is, I had to leave. My mom had locked her keys in her car, so I had to go. Like, we were getting her out of her car, and I put on the radio, I'm listening to the game. I was like, "What the heck is going on?" The net's down there talking about. It's like, the radio's not doing this justice. I gotta get home. I gotta see how this develops. So I got home to see the tail end of it when the guy was like tying the knot. But yeah, I saw the full clip later, and I knew somebody who was at the game. It's like, what happened? Like, the net just doesn't fall down. But yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it's been quite a year in baseball. There have been some things.
Yeah, I've been to a few games when there's been wacky delays like that. Like when the Red Wings home, like where I live in Rochester, the Red Wings Stadium opened up in '96.
Mm-hmm.
Opening days, like, April in Western New York. Philly don't jokes on how cold it is, because it can be. It was cold. It was 20 degrees. They played one inning. They had to delay the game for an hour.
Jeez, because it was too cold.
No, because the mound wasn't set. So this became a 5-hour game.
Yikes!
Because they had to reset the mound on site.
Wow, how do you not? I don't know. Minor leagues, I guess.
Brand new stadium, never been opened for anything else.
Oh, this was the first game.
Yes.
And they didn't have the mound. Okay, that makes it worse.
Yeah, and like I said, add 20-degree weather on top of that.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I don't know if it was just
Too
the mountain froze and just wasn't like, or it was just possible.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't.
Yeah, it just
sound like something that would happen, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like when you mentioned the net falling, all I can think is all those damn sky cams that fall in football games.
Yep.
Or when like Brent Seneca, I have to find that clip for you. I think the British Open, I think 1 year he sliced the ball so bad he hit a camera.
Did he really?
Like right in the lens, like $1 million shot.
Oh snap! Yeah.
Kind of like the foul tips that happened a few times.
Yep.
Like, oh, there's an $80,000 camera wasted again.
Yeah, I mean, there's the things that you don't like. You need pinpoint accuracy almost.
Yeah,
and in this case, non-accuracy, because your goal is not to hit a target the size of a camera lens.
And you're hitting the lens. You're not hitting the camera.
Right, you're hitting specifically that little circle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but oh boy.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh Pirates, you're the greatest team of all time. Like, I mean, that defensive play is probably gonna be shown for decades.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In ineptitude.
Yeah. If there's ever a 50 years from now, a list of the worst plays in the history of baseball, this one definitely, if not has the top spot, it's definitely up there.
I think the only worst play in sports is the butt fumble, and that was just because it was on Thanksgiving.
Oh, I use that all the time.
If this is baseball's butt fumble.
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, yeah.
Imagine if this game was game 3 of the World Series.
Well, that implies the Pirates are in the World Series.
Just go with it.
Also, the Pirates and the Cubs are in the same. They couldn't be Game 3 of the World Series. But
although
your point.
We almost had it this year in hockey. Funny you mentioned that.
We did almost have it in hockey.
And I hate both teams with a passion, but I would love to have seen it.
Would have been the one and only time we would have been able to have it.
Yeah, it would have been an original 6.
Yeah.
Montreal versus Boston. I think it would been the greatest thing ever. Talk about the most talked about Stanley Cup and probably.
It probably would be, yeah, because I can't think of short of them being able to have an all Canada Stanley Cup final, which I don't think
even that would count.
Yeah, I don't think like logistically that could even happen. Although I don't know, depending on how these division realignments and everything work out.
Especially with Seattle, I don't know. Like
yeah.
Unless they keep it as I would love to see the Canada keep it as a Canadian division. I like the idea of that.
I liked it too. I think it works pretty well.
Especially when you can't cross the border. But
well, hopefully in the future we're not talking about not being able to cross the border. Let the Blue Jays come home. This is getting ridiculous.
Speaking of that, funny you mentioned that. I don't know if we talked about it last show when with that whole thing So somewhere at the Bison Stadium, I think it's like Coca-Cola Field. I think it's I forgot what it is now. Where the Buffalo Bisons play AAA baseball. It's where the Toronto Blue Jays play their major league games this year and last year. Someone brought a sign and said, "Hey Toronto, not only did you blow a 3-1 lead to Montreal, we also stole your baseball team."
Dang, that's cold. It's totally uncalled for.
But it's 100% right.
You're just borrowing the baseball team. You're gonna give them back.
No one likes the Rogers Center anyway. We get you. Very nice.
Manfred's not suddenly gonna be like,
Put you in Buffalo.
It worked out so well when we took the Expos away. We're gonna take the last Canadian team.
Well, in defense, there was 3 people going to Expos games. Funny.
Well, yeah.
Funny you mentioned that. You mentioned the Expos.
Oh, you. There we go. You're one of the 3.
Yeah, it's just it was. Yeah, they won't with the team ever out of Toronto because it's that team's a gold mine up there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Really and there's even been talk about giving Canada another team.
They're even talking about moving back to Montreal. They're talking about building a new stadium.
Yeah, I don't know who they'd move or if they would just build.
I don't know, but
I guess they couldn't really do a new team because then they'd have an uneven number, and that would be.
Well, they were talking about putting 2 new teams, and I don't like the main 2 cities. I think I saw.
Well, Vegas is one of them, right?
Yeah, it was Vegas. I'm fine with. I can get on board with that. But the other team was it Nashville?
Oh yeah.
There's only 2 cities I would allow in the United States that should deserve a team. I mean, we'll count Vegas as a team.
Yeah.
They're done. If you have to put another team in, it's got to be either Portland, Oregon, or San Juan, Puerto Rico.
That would be interesting.
Because you build a 50,000 seat, you'd sell it out every night.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know if they, I mean, they have a team in Canada, obviously, but I don't know if they've ever considered expansion as far as the territories go. Yeah.
What was it called? Permanent expansion? Because remember the Expos moved there.
Right. True. Yeah, that's
true.
Of
the season, and they sold out every game.
So yeah, that would be interesting.
I think it'd be a good twist. I mean, I was like, but they gotta fly there. It's it's 3 hours. It's 2 hours from Miami.
Right.
It's not like they're. I mean, it's not like they're flying.
It's not that much further than what some of these teams have to fly to play the Blue Jays when they're in Toronto.
Or worse yet, Toronto is relatively easy because they're so close to the border.
Yeah, any team that's kind of up there. But yeah, even when you're talking about flying from New York to California.
Or like I said, flying to Seattle is a pain in the ass. The closest team to it's San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're not really close to anything, so everybody's got to go a distance to get there.
I mean, that's true for every sport, except for hockey, because you got to play every game. But it's like that. It's where it's just every team's got to go to Seattle, and when they play in football, Seattle's always travels more than the other team because they're so far. The closest team's the 49ers.
Yeah, and even that's still a couple hours away.
Yeah, it's like a 3-hour flight.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between going from San Francisco to Seattle is going from say Miami, finish your last game in Miami, then fly to San Juan for 3 games.
Yeah, and I mean they would make the schedule in such a way that if you're playing the team in Puerto Rico, you would go on a road trip that would probably include if you had any games in Texas, if you had any games in Florida, kind of work that bottom of the country there. The Braves and Atlanta. Yeah.
Atlanta, Tampa, you can do it.
I see them giving New Orleans a baseball team. I think that would work.
Yeah, because they need more reason to party, which I'll be happy to be at. We talked about that, right?
No, I don't think you mentioned you're going to New Orleans.
I am going to New Orleans for a certain football game
Fun.
for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. That's when
They're
they're
playing the
playing on
Bills.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's right. They're playing in New Orleans.
That's gonna be a little bit of a party.
Just a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because all these people are hopped up on not having been able to have Mardi Gras this year. It's pretty sad Mardi Gras.
It's gonna be I will say now it's gonna be a shit show. I know it already. 5 months in advance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah. I got my seats. I bought my tickets yesterday. I'm excited.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
5 rows from the field.
Dang.
I'm investing in earbuds. I'm investing in earbuds. That seems to be so loud.
Oh yeah.
Especially if they got a full capacity. So thanks, Hulk. I love you. I almost said Silverdome. I caught myself. Thanks, Terry. Love you. Please come on our show.
Yeah, but yeah, with that dome too, everything sounds louder.
And I don't know if the WCW had a show there.
Oh, did they?
That stadium is so massive. Like I think it's the biggest dome in the United States.
Oh wow.
It's 37 stories tall. It used to be like one of the tallest buildings in New Orleans.
37 stories. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like their numbers go up to like 600 for like seats inside their stadium.
Jeez.
I'm like, okay. I was looking at tickets. I'm like, I don't want to sit that high.
No.
Like I don't have heights. I don't have issue with heights, but it's like, good God, down low.
Yeah, it sounds pretty miserable.
Especially if like there's like the thing is the MVP will return. You know that, right? To that stadium.
Yeah.
Because Mitch Trubisky's the backup quarterback for Buffalo.
Still weird.
Yeah, didn't Chicago get killed in that game? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was not close.
Yeah, and he won the MVP of the game. Good job, kids. I mean, I love the idea. I think they definitely should do like one a week. I really do.
Yeah, you think so?
Get kids into football.
I don't know if you could do it one a week though. I feel like that would be like I love the idea as well, and I think they should do it.
Simulcast.
I would say at least one a month, like to get started with, but I think they should do it for every sport. I think that's something that it's educational,
That's
and
what I'm saying.
it's also acceptable in a way where if you were watching it with your kids, you wouldn't be totally bored out of your mind. Like, this isn't the football that I'm used to, because it's still, they had an actual commentator in addition to the two Nickelodeon people. So it wasn't like you were totally being boxed out of,
and you had young Sheldon
football.
defining
that was the best. Young Sheldon's rulebook.
So I got one question for young Sheldon though. How do you explain to a kid what's the phrase "what the fuck" mean?
You don't.
Thanks, Cordell Patterson.
That's part of the reason why they're like, maybe we shouldn't do another one of these.
yeah, that's like they put Cordell. It's on Nickelodeon. Kids are watching.
So bad. He learned his lesson.
I think that's why they didn't flag him, because then they have to explain what happened.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, penalty.
He used this
inappropriate language.
Well, it is technically unsportsmanlike conduct if it's over the mic.
Oh, really? You can get fined for that?
I remember, who was it? One of the linemen, for the Rams one time, got penalized 15 yards for standing when every guy called for holding.
Oh, dang.
There wasn't any goddamn holding on the play. It was like over the live mic. And the ref threw another flag, said unsportsmanlike conduct.
Hey. The rules are the rules.
Yeah, but rules are maybe broken. You should know that by now, by me.
Not when it comes to TV deals and all that kind of fun stuff.
He maybe step down a Lego.
On a football field?
Well, there's cats on the football field, so why the hell not a Lego?
I guess the Lego is less plausible because it doesn't have legs.
They throw batteries on the field. And I'm not even talking about Philadelphia this time, I swear. I really not.
Batteries on the field.
We did at Buffalo. And I'm not kidding. We actually did that to a player. We threw batteries at him.
Oof. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Not that you ever probably were allowed to do it, but...
It was basically because Mr. Brian Cox, which is funny in itself, what happened last year and I think the year before, and I think he's still technically on the team. Brian Cox, when he was playing for the Miami Dolphins, he's an old middle linebacker, if you don't know who he is. came out and did the whole Steve Austin 2-finger salute,
Mm.
like double wide like this.
And you just happened to have batteries with you that day.
Just coincidental, yes. Well, because I think he said something on the radio coming to Buffalo was like the worst experience, yada yada. And he said
So everybody was prepared,
Yes, they
they
were armed and
knew
ready.
that they were gonna attack this individual.
well, I think a lot of people
with
took out their honestly, God, I think a lot of people took just batteries out of the radio.
Oh, that would make sense. That's a good way to sneak batteries in.
Yeah, it's the easiest way because it's the most legit way.
Yeah, because nobody's gonna be like, oh, they're gonna take the batteries out, and like, no, you wouldn't think
I'm
that.
surprised. Sports stadiums just piss me off for that reason. While we're on this topic, it's like
For not letting you throw batteries at
no,
players.
no. It's funny because it's like the things that you're not allowed to bring in the stadium,
Mm.
for whatever it is. But yet you can be, if say you're an Eagles fan, we'll using it, but you can wear a full-size Riddle helmet.
Yeah, that's a weapon.
That's definitely a weapon.
Look at the Raiders. Look at the kind of stuff that they wear.
Well, but that's different though. Like this is Myles Garrett. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Is a helmet a weapon? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You could
That happened here. I think in like a high school game, a guy
knock
like,
somebody the heck out.
helmet out ref and like almost killed him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But people, as we have learned from
the worst grade / worst promotion of all time in baseball, bat night.
Bad Night.
Because it's just add alcohol to bat night.
Yeah, that's never gonna end well. But
Or they
as
sell
we,
like the wooden ones in like the gift shops. It's like, God, are you
Yeah.
asking? And you give it to like two little kids and like, hey, just you beat the shit out of
yeah, they're
them.
gonna fight. But no, as we have learned though, over the course of these NBA playoffs, even though you can't bring that stuff in anymore, people find a way. There was
Well, we
the
can talk about the Bills once again, but we won't go there.
Sixers game when somebody threw popcorn at Russell Westbrook as he was going out of the tunnel.
So
Somebody had a bottle. I think I don't know who
Yeah.
they were trying to throw it at. I don't believe it was
Kyrie?
supposed to. Yeah, I don't believe they were trying to hit Kyrie. They're pretty far back, so I don't think that was the aim of the shot. But through a bottle, almost hit Kyrie Irving.
and the
so-
Philadelphia Eagles almost signed him for being quarterback.
Yeah, no, could use one. But no, it's that. No matter, stupid is gonna find a way to be stupid. You don't
Especially
gotta give them
in
a
this
bat.
situation.
You don't gotta give them a battery. All you gotta do is give them enough alcohol. They're gonna do something
You don't even
dumb.
give them alcohol. That's the worst part.
Well, yeah, that's true. Some people
Give
would do it
just
sober
give
as a
them minutes.
fox. But yeah,
I
I mean,
think a few people-
streakers. Like there was somebody streaked on the court, or maybe they weren't a streaker, but they ran on the court. The Phillies had a game this year where there were two of them within like the course of 2 innings. Guys came
I'm
on the
surprised
field
the
and were
players didn't grab a
streaking.
bat and going for batting practice.
Probably should have, but security's normally pretty good. So the security, they tackled them and handle
we can talk about that Monday night game with the Rams and the 49ers when that guy ran almost the whole field like,
Yeah.
twice. Or the
That
better
was-
one, like
impressive almost.
the best one ever was in Buffalo. I kid you not. It involves a former Philadelphia Eagle and former Buffalo Bills player. The streakers ran. This kid's got to be 20 years old. He's drunk off his mind.
Mhm.
He just runs throughout the field and he's trying to mess with the players. You remember Takeo Spikes?
Yeah,
You know how big he is?
yeah, he's a pretty big dude.
He's about 6'4", about 250, and he's got his neck's bigger than his head.
Mm,
If you look up a picture, you always see his neck's bulging out here.
jeez.
I definitely would love to have him on the show, and I would have loved to ask him about this. He just sticks his arm out for a clothesline.
Oh,
Just
yeah, that
kneel-
dude's dead.
Oh yeah. He was down population you, bro, because it was he just went down in a heap. The cops were like, "Well, this is easy."
Yeah, yeah, they didn't have to chase him. They got their man.
Yeah, it's why would you? Especially in football, it's one, you're outnumbered. It's funny when security knows when something's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
They did that for the Bills. It was like cosmic destiny, for lack of better words, not to bring this up. I mean, it's when Ryan Fitzmagic became a star. Is when he came back and beat the Patriots.
Mm.
There was rumors all week the Bills fans were going to run on the field and tear down the goalposts because it was
Oh really?
because I think they lost 20 straight games against the Patriots. It was 19. or
Gotcha.
something.
Yeah.
So they tripled the Buffalo Police Department and then on the field. They're yeah, you're not getting off the ball. When it's every section there used to be a cop.
Yeah.
There was 4.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they-
Yeah. No one was getting past that.
No. But did I send you that picture of Ryan Fitzpatrick? Probably I forgot. I sent it a few. of my friends.
The first day of kindergarten picture.
Yes.
Yeah. Adorable.
His face is the
I love
best part.
Fitzy.
Everyone loves Fitz. Like I said, oh yeah, I did. It's like you made a comment how cool he is.
Yeah.
He comes off as like a likable guy.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, for somebody to just continue to find a way, in the league, like 17 years,
Well,
and he's journeyman for a lot of that. So
the saddest thing for him, well, not for him, but for the team he played for 2 years ago, he was the leading rusher for the Miami Dolphins.
The Dolphins had nobody. They sold the whole team.
Well, they had Kenyon Drake, then they traded him.
Yeah. Yeah, they're literally their best player because they were not trying to win. They were trying to get that first pick.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Tua.
So.
Yeah, you can check Tua off the list for guests too. By the way. Yeah, he couldn't beat Bill's backups. Sorry, thanks for playing.
Yeah, I don't know. It just what they did that year was just not.
That was not
no, it really wasn't. Everybody always talks about the trust the process tank that the Sixers did that really caused basketball to kind of change, how they approach these kind of things. Same kind of version of what the Dolphins did. They were not trying to field a competitive team at all.
And yet the Bills did trust the process and then you did it right.
Hey, I mean, sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes it takes.
And we didn't even tank.
Sometimes it takes. Well, it's not really trust the process. The whole trust the process thing was because it took so long.
We were there was a joke in Buffalo about that, like whether who would say it more, the media or the team.
Yeah. Oh, was that like their line? Like, trust us, we're gonna get better. It's coming.
Yeah, it was like that. It's like, okay, whatever. It was like, oh, we made the playoffs. Cool. Then how are we gonna get a good quarterback?
Yeah.
And then they somehow freaking lucked out and got up to pick 7 from pick 21.
Hey, look at Tom Brady. So it doesn't always come down to the first round.
We don't talk about him on the show, remember?
I'd love to have Tom Brady on. I'm sure that would be a hoot.
That would be an interesting interview. I really would. I would have him in a heartbeat. I really would.
You'd have to be nice.
No. So what's Giselle doing these days? Does she subscribe to the TB12 method?
Julian Edelman going to come out of retirement and play for the Bucks? Like he said he wasn't, but you have your way, Tom.
And of course, Gronk is being Gronk with like his comment. It's like God. Gronk's Gronk.
Gronk. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Gronk is Gronk. I have learned not to expect anything else from him.
He's not coming. Julian Edelman's not coming back. I don't care what it takes.
I don't think he's coming back.
Destroyed.
Yeah, he went through some tough.
I think he had microfracture, which is always good times for everyone.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
he had some tough times.
Yeah, except for he's not really. He's another player that's not really liked in Buffalo.
No, what did he do specifically?
You want to know what he did? Actually, he did do something specifically, and it's like, and they didn't even suspend him for it. I think that's why people are pissed off about it. He caught a punt return, like fair catch, and then he headbutted one of the Gunners.
Oh.
Like just catch it.
And he didn't get called for that.
Well, he got called for it, but he got headbutted. I don't think he even got thrown out of the game.
Oh yeah, he should have.
Yeah, he may have got thrown out, but I know he didn't get suspended. I think he got finally $7,500.
Which is nothing. Dropping the I have this money in my pocket.
There you go.
Yeah, rip it up like $7,500 is nothing.
And once again, the players don't even pay the fine, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like,
I was like, oh, you fined him so much. I mean, if you really want to hit a pocketbook really well, tell the owner he's fined $5 million for everything stupid you do.
Yeah, go a little bit higher because the way, like, the Sixers, Daryl Morey. So, this is not his first rodeo. He's been fined
50,000, wasn't it?
No, 75,000. And it's probably because somebody tampered or got accused of tampering. I forget the other
Pat
coach.
Riley.
But yeah, he only got 25. So
Pat Riley, he's like, I was shining up the key for like LeBron to come back.
Yeah, I was like, I don't understand how what you did, which felt a lot more like tampering than compared to Daryl Morey's tongue-in-cheek comment. And he gets fined $75,000.
Well, I think it's also because Pat Riley's been in the league for so long.
I do think that's part of it. And like I said, this is not Daryl Morey's first rodeo. He has been fined for tampering before, so maybe it's a incremental thing. You get 25 the first time, 50,
either
75,
way,
whatever the case might be. But yeah, he simply responded to a tweet that Steph Curry had sent out after watching his brother, ball out for the Sixers, and he said, join him. That's what he said. And he tried to argue that he was simply referring to, how everyone needed to join Steph in acknowledging how great Seth was, but that did not fly. No one bought that. So he got fined $75,000, and the team got fined $75,000.
Like I said, that's still such a pittance for some of these players.
It is. It is literally a drop in the bucket, and I tampering is such a I don't know.
If it's serious tampering,
you're not allowed. Yeah, if it's serious tampering where you're literally going behind somebody's back, you're like, yo, you should do this, and we're gonna give you all this money, blah blah blah. But like, come on, you can't let even when these players go on their like summer vacations together,
they're fully tampering.
Yeah, and like. I don't know. You have to let people are allowed to be friends with people on other teams. You have siblings on other teams, like coaches. Freaking Doc Rivers' son plays for another team. Like you're just gonna say these people aren't gonna talk to each other, and suddenly they talk to each other, and you're not allowed to say like, hey, you thought about the Sixers? We might be interested. Like, no, it's not. It's tongue in cheek.
Yeah, well, I think LeBron and Bosh went to Miami.
They 100% colluded. You ever heard the story about the banana boat and how that all came about? Why they called them the banana boat team?
Do I want to know?
It's innocent.
Well, didn't they meet at the banana boat in Florida?
They went on a vacation. It was Carmelo, LeBron, Dwayne Wade. It wasn't Chris Bosh. No, his connection with LeBron was slightly different. It was somebody else. Maybe it was Chris Paul. They went on vacation together because they're friends, and they got one of those banana boats, which I guess is kind of like a canoe or something, and they were just hanging out, and there was a picture of the four of them, and everybody started calling them the banana boat team. And there was talk that they were all trying to play together, and that can't do that. Can't talk about playing with other people when you are, he was still with Cleveland at the time, and Carmelo was, I don't even know, maybe he was still playing with the Knicks, but like everybody was doing their own thing.
He even was with Denver.
He may have even been with Denver at that point. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what year it was, but yeah, Dwayne Wade was with Miami still, but yeah, it was that caused a lot of problems. And yes, if you ever heard the banana boat team, that's what the reference was.
Work out together too. It's like it's like, okay, heaven forbid,
Are you gonna imagine they don't talk? They don't say like, hey, it would be cool to play together one day. Like that's innocent.
Yeah, you don't think they text? I mean, Jesus Christ.
So I don't know. I feel like the league does not have their priorities straight when it comes to.
I think tampering should not be a player thing. It should be like a front office thing. Like if it's like if a president, owner was like, hey, LeBron, come to New York.
What if you just want him to come visit? What if he was like, hey, I remember you. We played, I was with Miami. I was the GM or whatever when you were here. We're still friends. Let's go out to dinner. Innocent dinner. We won't talk about basketball. We'll talk about our other interests that are mutual.
Yeah, like there's this new game. There's this game called it's got a court. It's got two baskets. It's completely new. Catching on.
Yeah, you might like it. Probably be pretty good at it too. Win a couple MVPs, maybe some rings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I said, tampering just ridiculous. Like in any sport, like I said, I get it if like a team, like if it's a full like a team official.
Yeah.
But if it's a player, who cares?
Right.
Most of them are friends.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, let them talk to each other. If they want to say like, "Oh, it'd be cool to play together," like, yeah, of course you want to play with your friend. You want to be in the same city as your friend. They're not out there saying, "Oh, here's our plan. I'm going to ask for this amount of money. I'm going to try to get my contract extended. Oh, I know this other free agent. We can get him on the cheap." Like, no, even for what everybody says about LeBron being, the coach of every team that he is on. I don't see him as a guy who is literally architecting to that degree. Like, do I think he's going to the coach once he's already signed? Once he's already signed, I think he's going to the coach and saying, like, when the Lakers made all those trades, you're not going to tell me the reason why they didn't send Lonzo Ball out of there was because LeBron was like, I really want to play with this Lonzo Ball guy. Like, no, if LeBron liked Lonzo, they would have kept Lonzo. So, whatever LeVar thinks about how that thing went down, clearly, he was wrong. But.
Yeah, this is not pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you should come to WCW. Oh, it's less dates and more money.
Yeah. Oh, I can sit out a year, sign my contract, and come to WWE. I don't have to, here's my options. I can sit out and still get paid, or I can do this invasion angle.
Or better yet, it was like the whole, what's it called? Who the hell was it? Shit, who was it? And like, it was Lanny Poffo. It was Randy Savage's brother.
Mm.
You got a 6-figure contract from WCW?
No, I did not know that.
From when Randy Savage signed with WCW until it folded.
Really?
You know how many wrestling matches he did for WCW in that meantime?
I'm gonna say 1 just to be.
No.
I feel like it's a 0. But...
It's 0. He didn't wrestle 1 match and then he got like a 6-figure contract from WCW.
Dang. Way to fleece.
That's a great. As I said, screw this. I would be a pro wrestler in the 1990s. Forget how guaranteed contracts. Well, God, it's like
free money.
Yeah, it's how to burn money 101.
Yeah, either that or you got to be Bobby Bonilla.
That's true.
I believe that day is coming up.
The 1st of July.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite days of the year.
I think it's everyone's favorite day.
I love making fun of Mets fans on that day.
I mean, the thing that was like, it's funny as how it happened because like the Marlins signed him to his monster contract and they just traded him.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that the Mets took on that deal, though, like
to bring him back.
Days,
and I think he went back to Miami.
Yeah, it was something crazy like that. But yeah, these days no one takes on that kind of contract.
Well, it was I think because they can afford it now. That was the problem.
True.
They couldn't afford to pay him.
Yeah, so they deferred it into eternity.
And then pay interest. That's hard.
He gets paid so much money every year.
It's like $1.12 million a year.
After Cohen bought the Mets and he was asking fans, he was like, what are your ideas? Like, what would you like to see? Somebody tweeted him and they said, please buy out Bobby Bonilla so we don't have to hear about this every year.
Because it's going on for another 14 years. It's 2020, 2035.
But Cohen, in his response, he was, he kind of wants to embrace it. He's like, well, I think it's fun. I think it's something. I think we should get Bobby back. I think we should have every July 1st be Bobby Bonilla Day. We celebrate him. We have like a giveaway or something. Yeah, like you're already getting made fun of for it, so why not embrace it? Because at this point, that's all you can do. Short of paying him all that money, which I don't know, how that would work anyway. But yeah,
I think it's I think honestly,
embrace it.
I think it's like $1.12 million till 2035.
Yeah, something like that. He's still got a while.
I would be like, if I was Bobby, I'd be like, nah.
Yeah, I want
even if you offered me
annual $1 million.
Even if you offer me, say, I'll give you $65 million to break it right now.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice having a salary, essentially.
Yeah. It's an annuity.
It's an annuity. For doing nothing.
Well, it's like some football players have that, and they have contracts like that still. They're still getting paid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing about like the Bobby Bonilla deal. I was reading about it. It wasn't that uncommon, like for teams to do this. He's not the only one.
But he was getting like $20 million.
Got this deferred money, but it was the nature of how the contract came about, and the fact that it was the Mets, and LOL Mets, like that's a thing.
Yes,
so this was just one other thing that we could say LOL Mets for. But I mean, I don't know. I might have to shift that title to LOL Pirates.
No, I think we can do for both.
We can do both.
But yeah, it's like, well, you said pro football players, like someone like Steve Young still gets money.
Yeah. Yep.
From the USFL. I don't
even know who's paying him that money. That league.
The guy that owned the football team at the time still pays him I think it's like $1 million a year for like 40 years.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, in US, by the way, in case you don't remember, you weren't born yet. Not to make fun of how young you are, but USFL folded in 1986.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, so he's getting like 5 more years of paychecks.
Crazy.
It was like 40 years, like $41 million. Back when players were, in the NFL, like high paid players.
They didn't even have that kind of money.
They didn't.
Classic Donald Trump move. Spend money that you don't have.
Well, he did own a team in the USFL too.
He did. He owned the league and he owned a team.
He didn't own the league. He just owned. He was the biggest.
He was a pretty big investor in the league, which feels like that's kind of conflict of interest to be an investor in the league and also have a
unless
team.
You're the commissioner.
Well, I mean
I have that book, by the way, too. If you want to borrow it, that football for $1.
Very nice.
When he sued the NFL for antitrust and won
Yeah.
and got $3.84. He was sued for because he figured, hey, I can sue for $1 billion, but it's antitrust, it'll be tripled, and the judge gave him $1.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but oh wait, it's antitrust, we'll triple it.
Yeah.
Here's $3, and he's never cashed the check.
I wouldn't. It's embarrassing.
Well, no, apparently he doesn't even have, there's a documentary called Small Potatoes, and the guy
Yeah, I saw that.
He has the check, and he offered it to Trump. He's like, "Do you want this?" He's like, "No."
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Well, I can make some political comment.
If you cash that check, if you're Donald Trump, because of who he is and his nature, of having to win everything, if you cash that check, that is acknowledging defeat. And in Donald Trump's eyes, he didn't lose. Look at the election.
Wait, are we talking 1986 or are we talking about 2020?
We're talking about the USFL and we're talking about the 2020 election.
Okay.
But yeah, he does not acknowledge that the USFL was a failure. Like, he talks about it in the sense of, well, it wasn't the right time, and it was like, he will not go out
and they're bringing it back.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They're bringing the XFL back too, and who knows what'll happen this time now that Vince isn't involved.
That's just a freak example because
That's the Rock's baby.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's gonna be interesting. Like, I don't think he's gonna change much.
No, I don't think so. And I think
and they've got the money behind them.
This go round of the XFL had more potential than what was the other one? The AFL? Is that what it was? The
Alliance for American Football.
AAF, yeah. The XFL I think had more potential, and the games, like, I watched a couple of the games. The games were actually good. Pretty good. There are several players from those teams that got signed, like PJ Walker. Big example. He was probably one of the better players in the XFL, and he went to the Colts and got. I don't know if he started for them. He might have started a couple games.
He played 2 games for Carolina.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So he, there were players
because the whole
that
quarterback room got decimated with injuries.
It happens, COVID, but
not even COVID. When we on the Broncos, Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
make an example out of them. But yeah. But yeah, like, there were good players that got NFL deals from that, and I do believe that if not for COVID, that league would have continued, and it would have,
they had a lot of things. Yeah, there were a lot of people in the right position. Like, they had Doug Whaley as the player personnel guy. I mean, as much as Bills fans want to rip him apart for being a lousy GM, for being pro personnel, he was great. Then they had Oliver Luck. I mean, if you ever watched the first incarnation at XFL, they had we had He Hate Me. I got it.
Yeah.
We had Tommy Maddox.
Then they were gimmicks.
Druckenmiller is the only other player I could think of that was in the league, but it's like you had guys these guys were like junior college coaches coaching the professional athletes. This time you had guys like Pep Hamilton. You guys had recognized household names everywhere.
Yeah, there were players on these teams who I knew who they were. There were coaches who I knew who they were, and that was before the season even began. As the season progressed, you did get to know these players because they were doing really well, and ESPN was talking about the XFL, and these other sports networks were talking about it like it was a legitimate football league compared to the first go around, which it basically got written off as a gimmick, and that's kind of what it was.
And I do have a hat from the original XFL. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
I do have a New York, New Jersey Hitman visor.
Oh, okay.
I got it on eBay for like $10.
Not bad.
Don't regret it at all.
Not bad at all.
But yeah, it's just it's like, I mean, like with The Rock doing it, like I said, I hope he doesn't change much because he really doesn't need to.
No, and I think The Rock is a smart enough man to know what he knows and what he doesn't know.
And he's got enough. He's got the money behind him.
Yeah. Oh, he's got the money. He's got the the backers, and
what's going to help a lot is he's picked the right year to start the league.
That is also true.
Because not because of COVID at all. Well, it is because of COVID, but it's not for the reason you're thinking.
Yeah, it was very smart to do it at 2022.
Well, because
give that extra time to breathe.
Well, not even that. Because like the NFL, like we talked about the draft, we talked about once or twice, a little bit. We had a 5-hour show about it. Maybe talked about it a little bit. Their draft class this past year is the smallest draft class they've ever had.
Oh, really?
They had like 600 prospects.
Wow, that is small.
The average number is like 1,300. They're estimating between $2,100 and $2,500 prospects for next year.
Yeah, I was wondering if people were deferring because they allowed them, if they missed
Yes,
their
a
senior
lot of them
season,
did.
to come back. Yeah.
Even seniors or even redshirt seniors,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll stay another year. When the hell not? We can upgrade my draft stock, or hey, I can be like this guy. Yeah, I'm a decent quarterback, but I can't make the NFL because not every team needs a quarterback, and it's supposed to be down year quarterbacks, and every team's got a decent quarterback. But
call Howie Roseman, they'll find a job.
Or like I said, just play the XFL for a year.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I think a lot, the last time around, it was guys who were trying to get back into the NFL. This was their opportunity to have more tape, have another chance to show that they could still play.
Like I said, the XFL, the original one, I recognize 2 players.
Yeah.
If
I looked at rosters for what these were, off the top of my head, I only remember a couple names, but if I looked at the rosters, I'd be able to say, I know who you are, I know you are, you went on to play for somebody, and
See with the AAF, I recognize players' names.
Right, that was just mismanaged.
Yeah. But like I said, I knew 2 players, one because one was a first-round pick, and the other one was the backup quarterback for John Elway.
Mm.
And then won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With Pittsburgh.
Pretty big deal.
So, yeah, it's just okay, cool. Everyone's
Yeah.
So we got the XFL on our burner.
How did we get? Where did we start this? That we ended up on the XFL. I think we were talking about the Pirates.
I think that's for the when we talked about because we got into basketball. We were talking about and whatnot.
That's right. We're talking about malfunctions and then things getting thrown on the field and all of that.
And we went downhill quickly after that.
Yeah, we lost our train. Well, we could go back to basketball because we did note to mention the playoffs and
because they're
on.
They're ramping up. Hockey's playoffs are ramping up. Yeah,
hockey's almost done.
Yeah, hockey's in the Final Four, I think, after tonight. Because Vegas and Colorado are playing tonight, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I am.
I think you're right. I think it is tonight.
It's either tonight or tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure it's tonight. I'm putting up scores in case we care.
Scores are always helpful.
They do help a lot.
I think the last I looked, the Nets had come back in this game too. They were down 28-9.
Hey, the Yankees are winning a game. Holy shit. Sorry.
Who's winning a game?
The Yankees.
Oh yeah, they learned how to win again.
Yeah, who knew?
See, it's very interesting, and I don't want to. Well, I guess we can go off on this tangent because why not? We go off tangents all the time.
Nets and Bucks are tied, by the way. I'm just giving you live score updates.
Okay, yeah, I just saw that 74-74. But it's very interesting.
Vegas is beating Colorado, by the way. At the end of the first, it's 2-1. It's
very interesting what's going on with the Yankees in particular because it's just fun to watch the Yankees not be good. So Major League Baseball had decided, and I know we talked about this a little bit before with the no-hitters and, all of the offensive numbers going down, pitcher spin rates going through the roof. Major League Baseball decided that they were going to crack down on that. And they've been saying that for a long time. Well, now apparently they're actually testing the balls. And they're testing the balls somewhat regularly. So pitchers are being tested at random. They're being tested multiple times in a game. So this is all fine and good. Ever since they announced that they were doing this, Garrett Cole's spin rate has gone down. And I wonder why. I'm sure he's not the only pitcher. I'm sure there are others, but I personally take joy in the Yankees not being good.
Did you hear what the other thing they're trying?
What was that?
Because you've heard the Atlantic League, right?
Yeah.
Usually when they try stuff out there, they're depending trying to rule change. I think it's the start of their season where they're going to try. They're going to move the mound back a foot.
Yeah. Yep. Well, because that's what happens when hitting goes down. They adjust the mound. They move the mound because
60 feet 6 inches for how long?
Yeah, so it's Vantage told the last time that they needed to. It was probably the dead ball era. At the end of the dead ball era, they moved the mound back so that hitters could hit, and then we got hitting again. So yeah, I mean it is unfair to pitchers in a way, but offense has to be prioritized. No one is sitting there
be balanced.
No one is sitting there to watch a game that's 0-0 after 8 innings. They're worried about why people are tuning out to games. No, nobody wants that. Especially you're there. It's a day game. It's hot. You're miserable.
It
Like,
doesn't get hot in Philadelphia. Come on now.
I went to a game once, middle of July.
What about
day
you
game.
and I last year, 2 years ago? It was
Yes,
97
but
degrees.
This was
We cooked in my robe.
104. This was 104, and this was the day that I swore to myself I would never go to a day game in July again.
Yeah, they were done well for you, I see.
Just
You're welcome.
yeah, it's your fault. It's your
I'm
fault.
okay with that.
You made me break my
Yeah,
July day game. And what happened? We went to a day game in
it
July,
was 97
and it
degrees.
was 97 degrees. Like, it gets hot. I don't want to be
Thank
sitting
God we were
there
so high.
sweating under the sun. Yeah, at least like there was some shade cover. But like some
Not
of
even
these
that. We were
seats
so happy we didn't feel the
were
the
just
breeze.
in the sun. You get no breeze, you get nothing. If I'm gonna be at that kind of game, I want the score to be like 14-8. You know, like I want a competitive game where there is offense and there is scoring.
I'm still
Or if my
baffled.
team's up like 20-1, you know, that's fine too. But I don't want a 0-0 game.
I
Absolutely
mean,
not.
I was surprised that like when we went to that game, we didn't feel it more up top.
I would have thought we would have. The way that stadium, the way
It's-
that the stadium bowl is, you normally do. So
And,
it's just,
and especially then we got to my car. My car was like 4,000 degrees.
oh yeah. But the way that the breeze was kind of blowing that day, it
Yeah, we
did
got lucky.
work in, it did work in our favor.
And it also helped for what's his name that hit the 2 home runs.
That is true. It was there was offense. It was exciting. There were things to get excited about. But
I mean, the thing that baffles me about that game is not even the fact that it was so goddamn hot, because it was, that it wasn't hotter in LA.
yeah, I think there was just a heat wave that had come in at that particular
Right,
time.
it's just crazy. Man. It was like 82 and like it felt like hotter than it still was hotter than hell in LA. Don't get me wrong, but it was just like, holy shit, this is bad. Like, how do you play baseball? I mean, why isn't every team's stadium domed in baseball?
Why don't they let the players wear shorts? Like, I
Well,
can't
some of those
imagine
players,
being
you don't
out
want to see their legs.
there in long pants in that kind of heat. Like,
Funny you mentioned
no,
that.
thank you.
I go through that at work every day.
That's
Because all the
brutal.
ladies have been wearing shorts at work. I've been stuck in those goddamn long, like those
They
pants.
don't
and
let
it's hard.
guys wear shorts?
No, they won't let them.
That's so dumb.
I mean,
It's a double standard.
I went to my boss. I got better legs than anyone here. I'm not gonna wear shorts.
Right.
I thought about it.
Knee-length shorts.
And it's like, God, it's like, yeah, because like, I don't know if you know, I don't know if it was probably hard in the hell down there for you this week too, or like in the over the weekend.
Yeah, it was hot.
It was like 86 on Saturday. It was like 88 on Sunday, and it was like 93 up here on Monday.
Yeah, we peaked at 93.
And I work in a brick building with a metal roof.
Oof, my gosh.
High,
help you. I would
high
die.
heat zone. I almost did. I have a water bottle. I filled it 9 times in 8 hours.
Yeah,
And I may have gone to the bathroom twice.
that's crazy. It's just too hot.
And this is like, and we got there for Monday morning. We were there at 4 in the morning. It was still hotter than hell.
Wow.
I was like, turn the fans on. I'm like, no, open all the window doors first.
Right, because if you turn the fans on, you're just moving the hot air around.
Yeah, it's like you're creating a convection.
The building is stagnant. Like, you gotta get the fresh air in.
Well, we
Oh,
didn't use them
man.
being smart ones.
But yeah, like,
We're Cintas workers. Come on, we're not that smart except for me.
there has to be, if you're gonna have all those conditions, there has to be offense. That's just what
Yeah.
it comes down to. So I think the fact that they're cracking down and they're looking at these balls, I think is great. I also just find it amusing that certain pitchers, all of a sudden, their stats are going down, and it makes you question who was cheating all along.
I mean, even during the live ball era, like, well, I know it's still live ball, but you know what I'm saying? Like during the home run era, I'm sure pitchers cheated then too and got away with it.
Oh yeah, well they've been getting away with it for arguably the last 3, 4, 5 years, as far as the
3 or 4
whole.
years.
Well, this current iteration of pitching being as good as it has been, where players are, more people than not. I think we've gotten to the point are now using substances.
My new argument, and it's totally valid. It's like, well, should Barry Bonds be in the Hall of Fame? No, he cheated. Okay, sure.
Who didn't?
Not even that. Do you know who Gaylord Perry was? Well, he's still alive.
I've heard the name, yeah.
He used a spitball. Openly used the spitball. Spoiler, that was even banned in the 70s.
Oh yeah, pitchers were allowed to cheat in a way that hitters never were.
Yeah, because you can mess with the ball.
Right, you doctor the ball, and now they're
Maybe
finding
that's how I got the
all
name Doc
different kinds
Gooden.
of ways to do it. They're using sunscreen. Like they're finding
They're-
ways
Well,
to,
well, watch
and they're
Major
not
League.
even hiding it. They're not even being, like Trevor Bowers we talked about. He comes out, he's like, I know what the Astros are doing. I know that they're doctoring their pitches, and I know how they're doing it. And then all of a sudden, the next year, his spin rate goes up. Yeah.
Well, it's like I said, like watch the Major League when he mentions like he uses like a pitcher guy, the guy who mentions he uses like Crisco,
Right.
like certain creams, and just like
Yeah.
And he goes like, yeah, I have to use this because I don't have the arm you have anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's the sad reality of it. It's, once again, we're back in the situation where there's so many guys. It does seem like more than not are using something to doctor their pitches. You're at a disadvantage if you're not cheating. So if you're kind of one of the ones who's doing it right, but you're seeing that your stats are,
harder than hell. But yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't want to believe that Jacob deGrom is cheating, but that man is doing something that I don't know. I'd have to look at how much better his numbers have gotten on the average, because he wasn't always this good of a pitcher. Like,
but the last 5 years?
The last 5 or so years, but look at what I believe my timeline to be. Yeah, I believe that is the timeline of when pitchers wholesale have been doctoring their balls. So is it possible that he wasn't doing it before and he's doing it now? I don't know. The guy has like a 0.6 ERA.
It's 6.1.
6.1. My apologies. It's slightly worse than I was giving him credit for. But like,
yeah,
that's insane. It's not to say it's impossible.
That's video game numbers.
But that's insane. And if he keeps that up throughout the rest of the season, now that MLB is looking harder at these guys, then we'll kind of have our answer. But even if he doesn't keep it up, because it is not fair to expect the guy to keep an ERA under 1. Yeah, like no one's ever done that. I think the best ERA of all time is like 1.1 something.
1.12. Bob Gibson.
No one has ever done this. So even if he finishes with like a 1 ERA, yeah.
It's like you have 40 starts, law of averages.
Yeah, well, clearly his law of averages is not caught up to him yet, because it's just insane. He's striking out 10, 12, 14, every time he goes to the mound. He's not giving up any runs. He's unhittable.
Well, what's crazy, though, is like if he actually had run support, how much crazier his numbers would be.
That's the thing. He should be winning 20 games a season.
Or, well, like we talked about
not going 13-13. Like, he won the Cy Young.
With a losing record.
Sure he was, or 500 he might have been that year. He's won. Did he win back-to-back? I think he won back-to-back. But one of them, he was 13-13.
Yeah, it's I think that's the year. I think if he actually had run support and he played for any other team,
even the Pirates,
even the Marlins, even the Orioles, literally any other team in Major League Baseball, and he would have had like a 31-0 record.
Yeah. He should easily be a 20-game winner, and the fact that he's not is a testament to
the low Mets.
And the thing is, the Mets are not that bad this year. The Mets are actually, the NL East is the worst division in baseball. I'm not sugarcoating that, but the Mets, for all the injuries that they've gone through, for all of the issues that they've gone through recently, literally having to play a backup. They're like on their 4th string first baseman. Like, they moved their catcher from catching to first base because they didn't have any other first baseman, but they did still have a backup catcher. So, like, that's how bad they got hit by the injury bug. They've had a bunch of games that have been.
That's not a hard transition, though.
But the idea that you had to take a guy that you're paying so much money to catch and move him to first base because all your first basemen are injured, it just goes to show what they've been through. They've had more games canceled because of rain delays, because of teams playing with COVID. Like, the Phillies just beat the Braves today. The Phillies have 30 wins, 31 wins, whatever. They have the same amount of wins as the Mets, but they have 7 more losses because the Mets have played 7 less games than anybody else in that division because of all of these. Like, they had so many weather cancellations. They were supposed to play the Marlins early on. The Marlins had a COVID situation, or it was the Nationals or whatever. Like, they've had a bunch of adversity, and for all that adversity, and the stuff that they're going through, they are keeping their heads above water. So it's not that they're a bad team. It's just for whatever reason, when he pitches, the bats go silent.
Yeah,
It makes no sense because
that's
all the
why
man needs is one. He needs
That-
one run every time. You give him one
That's
run
why
of
they're
run
thinking, like,
support.
does he opt out? Like, if he's gonna opt out this year, after the year, and go somewhere else with music, just because of that.
I mean, if he doesn't, he's gonna wait till the end of his contract, and he's going to get paid an obscene amount of money
He'll
to go
get
play for the Yankees.
or anywhere.
No, he'll play for the Yankees, and then it'll be the worst thing to happen to the Mets.
Well, that's not true. The Mets founding was the worst thing ever happened to the Mets.
Well, yes, there's those other things, but the idea of them losing their best player to the Yankees,
Yeah,
that's something that would not go well. Yeah, and by then Mike Trout will be playing for the Yankees too, so it's whatever. They'll have another new super team.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Trout's going to the Yankees anytime soon.
Well, he's stuck in that Angels contract for 14, 15 years.
I think he's stuck in a year less. I think it's 11. I think he signed a smaller deal than Trout.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Trout has.
I think it's like 11 years he signed for. I think, and what's his name from Harper?
I don't know. Yeah, but I was gonna say Bryce Harper. I think was like 13.
Yeah, I think this was 11 for some reason.
So.
Either way, they can't move him. They can't trade him. They can't move him. They can't cut him.
Well, they can trade him. The only team that's going to be able to take on that contract, though, are the Yankees.
Well, but I think they both have no trade clauses in their contract.
But is it a no trade clause that he can waive?
I don't think it is. I think it's a no movement no matter what. There's no.
Oh, so it's a team and player sort of agreement there. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So it's even worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because then both parties are screwed if it doesn't.
I mean, you were trying to spin that so badly for Bryce Harper. I remember, yeah, it's great that he can't get out of it. But he can't get out of it.
I know. I mean, it's one of those if he's good, then it's great that he can't leave. But
has he been good?
He was good last year. He was. Yeah, I think it's the first 2 years. I think he was less than what people expected, and when you're getting paid the amount of money that he's getting paid, everybody's like, even a good year for Bryce Harper is considered like, well, it was okay. The team didn't do any good. They still haven't made the playoffs. But this year has not been so good. He's been injured, so.
My honest view is it's just him learning a new stadium. So I give him relatively new stadium. It's just learning the quirks of every stadium.
But that would be more from a defensive standpoint. You would see something like that.
Well, even hitting you would, because it's like you get used to the wins.
True. Yeah, there is that.
There's things that happen in certain stadiums that don't happen anywhere else.
Right. Right, we're not one of those super crazy stadiums as far as that goes. I think it's just he's the kind of player that some people expected to get from him is the MVP player. He had one MVP season, so it's he's not going to repeat that. He's not. Maybe at the time he won the MVP, he was the best player in the league. But look at where the league is now. Aaron Judge, Fernando Tatis, Vlad Guerrero, and granted, I did name all people in the American League, which would not get in the way of his, MVP campaign. But they're like Ronald Acuna for the Braves. You had Pete Alonso was really good for the Mets.
The Braves screwed him over so bad.
What, Acuna?
Oh yeah.
What'd they do?
It's 8 years, $100 million. Come on now.
I mean, he took it.
I know.
So.
Still, you know what I'm saying? That was
Yeah. I'm very surprised that another team didn't offer him more money.
I don't think they could touch him when he was still in the renewable phase. So he just took a deal, but it's God damn, why?
Yeah, he could have waited. If he waited till after this year, if he had just delayed it, went to arbitration.
You thought Bryce Harper and Mike Trout got money?
Oh yeah, he's getting money. Vladdy's getting money whenever that deal comes up. Tatis is getting money.
Toronto pay him.
Toronto can't pay him, but he's getting money. Maybe he'll go to New York. It's probably a good fit.
Montreal. I mean, he's from there.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's a team there, who knows what the landscape will look like.
That would be crazy marketing. That'd be the easiest marketing ever. Hey, come see Vlad Jr. play.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vlad Jr. saying that's right.
Yeah, but it's it's looking at the generation of talent that's there. It's not just say that Bryce Harper was never that talented, but maybe he wasn't as good. He was the phenom coming out and all that, but again, we're looking now.
It's the hype of the hype train of these players, like where you can't. And
right, you can't live up to the hype. So that's what I'm saying. Like even a good Bryce Harper season is not going to live up to that perceived hype. And when you pay somebody, everybody always says like $300 million, we're paying him $300 million. What's he doing for $300 million? Oh, he's just striking out. Like nothing will be good enough when you're paying somebody that kind of money.
Like, not even that. Look at, not to go back to basketball, look at LeBron when he came out of high school.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, he's not, because he's not Jordan. Jordan didn't have the pressure LeBron has. Objectively, I don't care either way. I have no horse in the fight. But it's like, holy crap! Can you imagine being like 18 years old? Okay, you're considered the next big thing in basketball. You haven't played a professional game yet. You're expected to do this. You're short of curing cancer.
Right, and you're doing it for your hometown team. And a city that hasn't won a championship in a bunch of years. So yeah, he certainly did have a lot of pressure put on him. I'm no LeBron fan.
But he's
a great basketball player, but some of the things.
Could you imagine having someone like Jordan, yeah, it's like having say the number one pick any sport, like Andrew Luck probably comes to mind, but saying this guy is this good, I was expecting him to fizzle out.
Yeah, you definitely could argue that
the
pressure could have gotten to him, especially in Cleveland in those final years when things just, he was a one-man show. He was a one-man operating team.
Horrible.
Yeah. He was the reason why they went to the playoffs. No one else. He literally, put that team on his back.
I saw him play
drag him to the playoffs. Yeah.
I was lucky to see him. It was crazy because it was the day before Survivor Series pay-per-view. And our good buddy Dave Bautista was there, and he got thrown out of the game.
What did he do?
Well, because they did a whole skit with him, and I forgot the mascot for the Cavaliers' name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he threw a bottle at him.
I
think it was rehearsed. It had it, but
yeah.
But then then they announced because they interviewed Dave Bautista and they were playing the Wizards, which makes it 1,000 times better. You know why, right? He's from DC.
There. Yeah, that's what I thought. He was from DC.
So the interview was so aren't you glad he goes? The Cavs interviewer, I forgot her name too, goes, "Hey Dave, hey Dave Bautista's here. Dave, aren't you glad you're seeing LeBron?" He just goes to him, "Sweetie, I'm from DC. Go Wizards." The whole place boos him out of the stadium. This is full heel Bautista, and I think he was a heel in 2004. Yeah, he was a part of Evolution then.
Yeah.
So he went full heel on an NBA team. Yeah, so it was just hilarious to me. I don't think I've ever shared that with you, but it's yeah, I don't give a shit about LeBron.
Yeah, makes sense. From DC, and at that point, you're not watching somebody who it's nowadays people go to games to say that they've seen him play live,
right?
Because he is on that god tier, like Kobe, like MJ, some of the greatest of all time. But him being a rookie, he wasn't anything back then. He was a really hyped up prospect. And
he had a hype train.
Right, but for a guy like Bautista's I don't care about your stupid hype. No.
And being November, it's your first month of your first year.
Right. Yeah, he was literally fresh into the league. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah. And Dave Bautista had to ruin it all.
Oh, this game's coming down the wire.
Are you watching the Bucks game again still?
Yeah, 2.8 seconds left. Milwaukee up 1.
Harden playing.
Bucks ball. So they're gonna foul them.
I hate that intentional foul.
Tell me about it. So, have you watched any? Do you watch the playoffs? You watch basketball at all? No.
I get the gist because I played basketball, so.
The Sixers played in the first round. No, Embiid's actually a pretty good foul shooter. In the first round against the Wizards, not intentionally, but Ben Simmons had missed the first 6 free throws that he had attempted over the course of
jump shots.
Over the course of several games, he can't shoot anything. Put him in the paint, maybe he can get a layup, maybe he'll get a dunk.
Lucky.
That's what he does. But could not make a free throw, and he had gone 0 for 6. So the Wizards decided in game 4, which I think was the only one that the Sixers lost, and it was one that Embiid wasn't playing. They were going to hack a Ben. So basically, every time he got the ball, before it was under 2 minutes, because apparently you're not allowed to intentionally foul when it's under 2 minutes. So like from the 5-minute mark to the 2-minute mark, every time Ben Simmons had the ball, every time the Sixers had the ball, because they were in the penalty, the Wizards would just touch him. Literally touch him, send him to the line. Touch him, send him to the line. And they took the approach that if you're going to beat us, we're going to force you to beat us at the line. Doc couldn't take Ben out of the game because we needed his defense. So he leaves Ben Simmons in the game, and literally every time, like, he didn't even have to have the ball, because off-ball fouls, still shooting fouls. Touch him, go to the line. He was so, like, and you could see how annoyed he was on his face.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
when the guy's not making free throws, and he was only, when they sent him to the line, he would make like 1 or 2, 0 or 2. He never made both. So their strategy worked. Like, you're not going to not do that. Strategy doesn't work.
I still love that Portland did it to Shaq.
And that's like there's precedent for it. Well, here's what happens. So they lose game 4. Game 5 comes about 3:45 in the afternoon. The Sixers were scheduled to go on the court at 7 o'clock. Ben Simmons was on the court shooting free throws, doing nothing but shooting free throws, because that's the reality of the situation. That everybody knows that now they're going to hack him. He has to make his free throws. So game comes. The Wizards start trying to hack him in the first half. So like they're not even wasting any time. As soon as they're in the penalty, they start hacking him. He knocks down his first 2 free throws in a row, and he was still like, he might have been like 6 of 9 on the game or something, which for him is great. A guy's making 0, he goes to make 6. But yeah, as soon as that happened, it was like, well, we're not going to try that strategy anymore.
I remember when they did it to the Blazers, to Shaq, and Shaq just winked at with the head coach of I think it was Cumming Smith still.
Mm-hmm.
He just winks at the coach like, thanks for the 3 points.
Yeah, but that's what you do. If you know they're going to do that to you, you learn how to shoot a free throw.
I like the idea of it as long as it's not truly a center sometimes, because the dude can out rebound you.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. And I'm thinking, I was like, I wonder why the Sixers don't literally practice a play where he misses the second one intentionally every time and let them crash the boards, because Ben Simmons will get a board, Joel Embiid will get a board.
Like, my way was like similar like that. Like, I would purposely, if I knew I was going to the foul line, I would try to make the first one every time.
Yeah.
And purposely miss the second one. And I would
just grab it by a mile. Just throw it off against the backboard.
I would one hand just throw it like a fastball.
Yep.
Make sure it hit the rim.
There's no rule against that.
No, there isn't, because that's one of the things I really did practice that.
Yeah.
And my coach says, when I first did it, I was like, my coach says, what are you doing? I'm like, I can out rebound anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like one of the tallest kids in the league, and I had the biggest ass. Let's just be real here, because I was like 220 pounds as like a freaking 7th grader. And I was like my height now, but I was like 60 pounds lighter. And most kids my age were like, probably like a couple inches shorter, definitely lighter. I'm like, I can just take my ass in them and just block them out. So that's what I do. I would just go, or I just like chest pass it right at the rim.
Yeah.
As long as it hits the rim, it doesn't matter. It's a live ball. And sometimes the kids would forget about it.
Mm.
Or if it was like a 1-on-1, I would do the same thing. I would just miss the first one then.
Yeah.
And I did it, and if I was 1-1, I just dribbled right in and got a layup. Thanks for the free 2 points, assholes.
Yeah. Like, whatever works. And that's kind of, if they're gonna hack you and you learn how to make your free throws, well, one of 2 things is going to happen. One, they're either going to stop hacking you because they're going to realize that they're giving you free points, or they're going to keep doing it, and you just got to keep making your shots.
Or you just hack them back and just punch them in the face. First 2, up to 3.
Then you get a technical and you get ejected from the game.
I'm surprised they haven't like outlawed that, like hack it, like that hack a Shaq or hack a Simmons, we'll call it, with lack of better words.
Yeah.
Just to say,
I think that's the reason why there's the rule that you're not allowed to intentionally foul when it's under 2 minutes. I think that's their way of getting around that whole hacking situation.
Well, you can't foul the guy without what they would do with Shaq. He wouldn't even have the damn ball.
Right.
They would just foul him.
Right, and that's what they were doing to Simmons too. Like, literally, anybody for the Sixers would inbound the ball. They just touch Ben, because they were in the penalty, which meant any foul was a shooting foul. Anything would send him to the line. So that's kind of how they played it.
Bastards.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to fault them because it worked. It worked in the first game, and then Simmons went and started practicing all his free throws, and they tried it the second time, and it didn't work. And
Yeah,
they're
like,
like,
well,
well,
shit.
guess we're gonna have to beat them straight up now, and they didn't. They lost by a lot. So it happens. Speaking of
Does.
losing, I did not
Yes,
see
they
the
do.
final score of this game. Okay, Milwaukee did win, so it's 2-1.
Hey, they won a game.
They won a game.
Did Harden play?
I'm not sure. I know he was questionable to come
So
back.
it's now 2-2 in the Vegas Golden. The Avalanche. Someone just scored.
Oh, exciting.
How crazy would it be if honestly Vegas makes the Stanley Cup Finals again? Were they in the West?
Honestly,
Were they in the
they're
Western
so
Finals
good.
last year?
If not last year, it would have been like the year before because they won it. It was 2018, right? Their first.
Yeah, their first year. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they went to the Cup Finals and they got lost to Washington.
Yeah, they're insanely like for being an expansion team to
They're
be
absurdly
this good. Yeah, to be this good this fast. It's
Well, I think
pretty
it also
incredible.
has. I still don't get why Pittsburgh gave up M.A. Fleury at all. That's the reason why they're good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
'Cause he doesn't allow
Pittsburgh
anything.
thought that he was done. They just thought that he was over the hill.
Yeah, and
Silly Penguins acting like the Pirates.
that's true. I mean, he's 30. I mean, he is 36 years old.
But he can still play and is still a better goalie than a decent amount of guys in the league.
I'm surprised he's not like a Vezina winner like recently under like with Vegas. But it's
Yeah, I think he's been in the conversation, but
oh, absolutely,
yeah, he hasn't. I don't think he's won it with them. No, I think you're right.
Yeah, for the first time in his NHL career, they're saying like he's never won it. He actually earned a nomination this year for the first
Oh,
time.
he's never won it ever. Even when he was with Pittsburgh. Oh,
and yet he won like what 2-3 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I always remember him as somebody who would allow. I mean, being a Flyers fan, we saw him all the time, and he would just constantly, stymie us. Allow 0 goals, 1 goal. Like he was just so good.
It's like when being a Sabres fan when I watched Tudor Rask. I went to like 5 games with him. Either he'd stymie the shit out of the Sabres or he'd let everything in. He's the most inconsistent goalie I've ever seen. I went to a game. I kid you not. Like I think it was like I went to 2 Bruins games one year for some ungodly reason.
Yeah.
But like the one game he blanked us. He had like 40 saves, and he won. They won like 2-0. I go back like a month later, and he lets 6 goals go in within a period and a half. I'm like, what? And the saddest thing, your team he should have been on, Tudor Rask.
What team is that?
Toronto.
Oh yeah.
Like they gave him up like they didn't even think he was any good, so they just got rid of him.
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Like I said, there's that whole video of like that Mr. Urientries posted out about like the whole 41 minutes. I know I've sent you that.
Yeah.
The 42 minutes, and he did an addendum and added on the 2021 thing. And yes, it's definitely not safe for work.
Nothing that you send me is safe for work.
Oh yeah, come
on. Like 9 times out of 10.
I think it's definitely 10 out of 10 times. Thanks, Vinny. Thanks, Brian. Well, it's because Brian Elvis is an angry little man. Like even Vinny calls him that.
He calls him an angry little man.
Well, he's a tiny guy, Brian Alvarez.
He is small. Yeah, he's definitely small.
And Vinny's very, very large. Like seriously, I think Vinny's like 6'5", 6'6".
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a gigantic human.
He did not look that tall.
Well, he's sitting down. That helped.
Right, but like sometimes when people are sitting down, well, I guess he might have been like slouching because sometimes when they're sitting down, you can still tell that they're tall. But yeah, he did not. Did not look extra
Brian's
tall.
like seriously. I think Brian's like the size of like Jungle Boy.
Not very tall at all, then.
Yeah. And then so yeah, I just saw he's like so speaking of that, like AEW, I saw like that Kenny Omega's facing Moose at the Impact pay-per-view or
Yeah. I feel like the only direction they can go at this point is Moose wins. I don't know how he wins. I don't know, but you have to get.
Is it just for the Impact title? Or is it for both?
It's just for the Impact title. You have to get that title off of Kenny.
And I don't care if you do it by fuckery. You just get it off of him.
Yeah, literally have the entire roster work to help Moose win because they just want their belt back so that they can you don't want this interloper carrying your titles.
And then you can always have a match where they saying, hey, can you beat me for the AEW and have me for the AEW title like down the road, like or like next pay-per-view.
See, what I thought that they should have done, and I think that this would have been the best way to do it.
Wait, AEW did something wrong?
It was funny. I was actually reading an article the other day, reading a headline. I didn't actually read the article, but the headline said, it's okay to say that AEW did something wrong. Like, it was that idea of everybody acts like just because they're not WWE that they have to be perfect. Like, no, they're
Or
a
they
wrestling
are
company.
perfect.
Yeah, they're a wrestling company that does stupid things sometimes. Like Cody Rhodes's "I Had a Dream" promo. Like,
Or Cody was using focus groups.
yeah. Like, there's some stupid things that you should be able to make fun of them for.
Like that's definitely. It's like I just think I mean, let's just go like on a whole tangent about focus groups really fast. I mean, let's just go objectively. Let's go. Who's probably the best talker in WWE history? Would you say The Rock's probably 1, 2?
Yeah. If you're going all time.
Do you really think you need a focus group A to say he's good looking? I mean,
no.
It's like shit like that. It's like you don't need. He didn't have to be good on the mic, but he was.
Right.
But women loved him. It's like you don't need a focus group for Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
Because he's got everything you want. Like Cody's, he's the wrestler. He's not the athlete.
Right. He's not the athlete. I mean, he's a decent talker, but he's not
that damn list.
God tier.
that goddamn list they got from his dad. That goes in and out too.
But yeah, no. What I thought that they should have done was had Christian won the Battle Royal, like have him win the Battle Royal, which makes him the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship.
Yeah.
Have Kenny lose to Moose, which otherwise I would have said don't do it, but the reason why you have Kenny lose to Moose, and then you have Christian come out and say, he's like, I don't just want the AEW World Championship. I want the Impact World Championship because, Christian Cage, like, I was in Impact. I was a former champion. I want that belt back. I want to bring that belt NWA back
champion, not the Impact,
to that. Well, the semantics, they were with the promotion and but like to kind of take on that persona because he would be the babyface in this whole thing. Take on that persona, like, I don't just want one. I want both of them. And when I win the Impact Championship, I'm going to show up. I'm going to defend this belt. Like, I am going to respect this title in a way that you never had. Because at some point in this whole partnership, Impact's got to get a W. Whatever it looks like, however it looks like, they have to get a W. It's not enough. At the beginning it was, but it's gotten to the point now where it's not enough to just say the exposure is enough for them. Like, the exposure is great, but if you keep taking L's, no one's going to care. If if Kenny Omega is the only one from AEW who's doing matches on both brands, you're not doing anything with the knockouts and, AEW's women's division. You're not bringing tag teams over. They did for like 2 seconds. They had, Private Party come over with Matt Hardy, but they're not. Both promotions, I don't think, are taking full advantage of this partnership. And it's more to the detriment of Impact than it is to the detriment of AEW because AEW is the, WWE in the scenario and Impact's the lowly WCW.
But yet WCW was in WCW was the X-Division. They made NWO the invading force.
Right.
Unbeatable.
Right. And there are ways that you can do, like, you look at all of the kind of invasions. Probably save for the one that WWE did because, of course, they were gonna, go over big because that was their middle finger to.
There was also a no-win situation
to everything. Well, yeah, there really wasn't a, since WCW had folded at that point. Literally, your invasion was like they're your wrestlers anyway. So it was kind of
even if it was like Hogan, Goldberg, and all the NWO, like and Flair, like Sting, it wouldn't have worked. I don't think just because it's like
right.
It was a no-win situation, like because you have hyped it so goddamn much. If it was like the original big games, you couldn't top it. Like, what's the end game?
Right, and like other kind of looking at other promotions, like even when Ring of Honor did their invasion angle with CZW, like Ring of Honor, of course, went over in the end, but CZW was not made to look like this feeble, can't win anything. Like Impact doesn't even have they have 2 of their championships are currently being held by wrestlers in different promotions because Kenny is the world champion and Finjuice from New Japan are the tag team champions. So the only title, 2 titles that they have the X Division title and they have the Knockouts title, are the only titles right now, and the Knockouts tag team championships. But their main men's titles, 2 of them, 2 of the 3, are being held by wrestlers in other promotions. It's not sustainable. You just can't, like, it's one thing to have one title that is not on your TV every week, but you have 2 of them now. You don't even have a backup. Like, your X Division champion is your highest male champion on your roster. So it's kind of crazy that, you know, they're taking L's. They're taking L's left and right, and at some point that has to change. And I think even though technically, like, Christian is an AEW wrestler, I think the nostalgia to him being in Impact and everything that he was in TNA, you know, like that was his big singles run. Like, you know,
Yeah.
people can say what they will, but
That was his biggest run of his career.
his singles stuff in WWE did not hold a candle to
Oh, God, no.
Christian Cage in TNA.
And they botched that.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, speaking of women's champions, we each have a new women's champion tonight.
In NXT UK?
Yes.
Yeah, Miko Satomura.
Bless you. And I
And there goes the Joshi audience.
I mean, I love her. I remember her match in WCW.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it was just the craziest shit ever. Like I love her. Like her tagline, being the final boss.
Ah, that's a good tagline.
Because like what she is, like she's like the last guy, like the last woman most Japanese wrestler, like Joshi's wrestle.
Right. Yeah, she's still a big name.
She's 41 years old.
Age is only just a number.
Especially when if you fight that stuff.
True.
If you beat the shit out of you never get hurt.
That's a very good point.
It's weird that they do she's actually still a coach at NXT UK.
Yeah, she's like a player coach. It's kind of what her role is there. But I'm just waiting to see how long until Walter loses the title and who he loses it to.
I don't think he's going to.
There's been talk that they might do Baylor Walter and then, have him lose to Finn Balor. That would be like the only person that he could really lose to, and it would be okay. But
the only problem is I'd make a new star.
I don't know who in NXT UK though they could elevate because nobody watches that product.
You'd have to bring someone in.
Yeah, you could do that, but most of them are sexual predators, so it's kind of tough. Yeah, the speaking out movement really hit Brit Rest more than it hit a lot of places because apparently their culture over there is pretty seedy with their wrestlers.
That's like Europe as a whole, but that's a whole different story. Europe up now.
Yep. Bye Europe.
It's more like the long arm of the law.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, I would get Finn, but it's like I would like to see someone yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like who? That's the thing. Who is worthy?
I just wish he'd come. His problem is he can't come. He won't come to America.
I don't think that's 100% true anymore. I think he is softening on that stance. I don't think he wants to live here, but I think he is more willing to do because they want him to do more NXT stuff.
They want him
not just NXT UK.
Vince wants him in headline WrestleMania.
Oh yeah. Vince probably already booking Walter versus Roman Reigns. Like that's what he wants.
And having him kill Roman.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see many guys get the opportunity to do that. So yeah, I mean, Walter's definitely.
That would be a fun twist for the Royal Rumble this year.
Have him win.
Have Walter be 30.
Yeah.
Or have him do the Brock Lesnar idea. What his idea was, pick number be number 1 and just kill everyone.
Just decimate everybody. Yeah.
Yes, it makes everyone look weak, but he makes him like superhuman.
Right. Right. And who cares if you look weak? It's a Royal Rumble. Nobody remembers,
It's
what
Walter.
order you got eliminated. Yeah, like you should be losing to Walter in a Royal Rumble. Give him the
Yeah.
Big Show spot where it takes like 100 people to eliminate him, but they don't even eliminate him. Like, go one step further. No one can eliminate this guy.
Just have him go one by one. Just have him be a machine. Just have it
Yeah.
be like if it's 45. If it's a minute or 2 minutes, if it's 2 minutes, have it be a 60-minute match and have him just toss one by one.
Yeah.
And be the fastest Rumble. Just be
I
like,
would
"Next."
say he tosses him right away, and he's like, got time to kill. No one's in the ring. Just gonna chill, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do that. Do the heel shit. Just have him sit on the turnbuckle, just like Austin would do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Walter's definitely somebody who they can take anywhere that they want to go. It's
And,
just
I
going to
mean,
be a matter of,
and you can find
what
a good
he wants to do
mouthpiece.
as far as coming to the US, how often he wants to come to the US, would he move here? Like I said, I know he doesn't currently want to move there, but I think they are starting to ease into him doing more dates and stuff for NXT.
Yeah, you have him like NXT for like a week.
Yeah.
And then go and have it be like Jeremy else, like have him win something big and like have the Jeremy takeover wherever it is, for, like the Rumble one.
Yeah.
And have him be the surprise, like, and this is the man who drew number one. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah. You can even have a comic spot where like somebody's like trying to give away their Royal Rumble spot. They're like, no, I don't want to go in there.
Yeah, and have some like Ted DiBiase and Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny.
Have Cameron Grimes be the guy.
Like, try to sell him some Dogecoin and then get thrown off.
Yeah, or no, then that just be like pay someone to get out number 2, and everyone's like, no.
Yeah.
And have you show like throughout the night saying like,
yeah, like just he wouldn't go in the ring.
Well, no, have him try to bribe his way out of the spot the whole night. Have him backstage like, I don't want this number. Just don't say what number it is. But clearly it's number 2.
Yeah.
And why the hell is he trying to sell the spot the whole night?
Like,
or have him be, or no,
that's
or no, have him be like be number 1.
I was gonna say you make him number 1, and then Walter comes in number 2.
They're like, and just have like Michael Cole or whoever's calling the Rumble, be like, oh.
Yeah, just oh.
Yeah, well, they can't. They won't say, "Oh shit."
We are so sorry, Cameron Grimes.
Yeah.
It's been nice knowing you.
to quote Mr. What the hell was it? Matt Striker. I wish you luck on your future endeavors, Cameron Grimes. Or Graves would be like, "Here lies Cameron Grimes."
Yeah.
And give his date of birth and
R.I.P. But yeah, no,
So,
definitely Walter. Walter is a star. You know, there's no getting around that.
Yeah. And yeah, then have him kill.
So you need the right person, and that's the thing. Like, the rub that somebody would get from beating him is extraordinary, but you need the right person, and they just don't have that person right now.
Like I said, like I would love to see Finn beat him, but it's like Finn's a star.
Right, Finn doesn't need it, and at this stage, you know, Finn is probably headed back to the main roster. I think they've done all that they can do with him in NXT.
If you want to send someone down in NXT, that'd be a good person to do it, to get the rub. Even though it wouldn't be like the rub because he's a star, especially after like last month. Cesaro.
Cesaro versus Walter would be a great match.
And like I said, they can actually communicate in the ring because Cesaro speaks like
AF.
And they speak like he speaks like 83 languages, so that helps.
It's true. They'll just do the whole match in some other language. No one will understand. They'll just keep switching.
Or just audibly calling spots like in foreign language.
That'd be pretty funny.
The fuck did you just say?
Like, I think they called that, but I don't know what that means. Yeah, that would be pretty funny.
That'd be the way. I think that's the person you could do it to. I mean, he's a star now.
Right. Yeah. He got the rub. He beat Seth Rollins twice. I don't know what direction they're going to go in for Hell in a Cell as far as who wins that match. If I'm them, I give it to Cesaro again because Seth doesn't need it. You know, there's nothing that they could do to really diminish him at this point.
That's not the Hell in a Cell match proper. It's just on the pay-per-view, correct?
Yeah. I don't believe that.
It's me Ray versus Roman inside the cell.
I guess they'll do that one inside the cell. The other one, I know Lashley and Drew is inside the cell.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing the women's match inside the cell or not. I don't know about that one.
So I heard, speaking of like whole wrestling stores, I heard Mr. Andrade had a really lousy debut.
So I didn't actually see it. Yeah, I didn't actually see it. At this point, I'm never surprised when an ex-WWE wrestler shows up in AEW. You know,
AEW's they're turning into Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, they've kind of taken on that, that mantra, and I get it. They're not taking like everybody. They're not taking the scrubs, as it were. But I was disappointed in a sense that he went to AEW because it made so much sense for him to go to Ring of Honor and to be back with Rush, to put the Los Ingobernables back together. Like, it made so much sense. He would have been a star in Ring of Honor. In AEW, he is just going to be another cog in the machine. Their roster is way too bloated. I know they're going to have a second show coming this summer, but way too bloated. Like, I don't see how he stands out. I think he gets that classic, 1 month treatment where he's the best thing in the world, and then he just goes back to being another guy. Yeah. Look at Christian.
He's legitimately like a WB Hall. We'll just call him WB Hall because he is one.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, he's on like a 1-year deal. It's not long term, I don't think.
No, I think it is short. Limited dates and all that kind of thing.
And like you said, they don't give him the golden opportunity to make him seem like a star.
Right.
We have him win the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem with Jungle Boy winning it, but
wrestled. Jungle Boy has time. That's kind of the thing. But Christian hadn't wrestled for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Before showing up in the Royal Rumble, and like he was the hottest thing, and AEW did not take advantage of that. Like I get the Kaz match because they had history, but his other opponents after that, he spent like a month feuding with Team Taz, and it was a complete waste. Yeah, it was a complete waste. Like, even what they're doing with Sting right now is perfect because the focus isn't on Sting. Everybody knows Sting can't go anymore. Putting him in a tag team, having Darby Allin be the main guy, like, it's not the traditional way that you put somebody as a star, but for what Sting is at this stage in his career, it is the perfect way to book him. And it just seems like with so many of their other guys, and the women too, that they're not putting people in these situations. They're so focused on quick, 1 month on top, you're a star, and then we just throw you back. You're in the pile with everybody else. So I don't know what Andrade's ceiling is going to be there.
I hate his name, by the way.
I think he's paired. I don't even know what they made his name.
It's Andre El Idolo.
Oh, they put El Idolo in there. Okay, well.
That's like Alberto El Patron. Come on.
Yeah, true. But I'm kind of surprised he was able to keep the Andrade. Maybe that might be his actual name if he was able to keep that. But yeah, like, I think he's paired with Vicky Guerrero, right? That's how they're doing it. So I don't know, how that's kind of going to go, but I don't
not at all
see him necessarily.
It's his family name.
Oh, okay.
Like Hispanic, like it's traditional Hispanic.
Yeah.
Like they have like two
yeah, so it would be like probably the maternal last name would be, yeah. So okay, so that makes sense that he would get to keep his own name. But yeah, I don't know what his ceiling is in AEW. I don't, maybe he'll win the TNT championship. That's probably the height of it.
And I don't get why they're keeping the name when they move to TBS.
So I think they're keeping it as a homage to, as an homage to.
It's named for the. Just
and
call
it sounds better than the TBS title.
Just send a jab to WWE. Call it the network title.
They could do that, or the television title, but like, everybody has a television title. I think they're trying to be a little different. So
the way, I mean, god damn.
I don't know. I honestly don't hate it. I don't hate them keeping.
TV title is the easiest title to book too.
Yeah, you just defend it every week, and that's how the TNT title was at one point. I don't know if it's still that way, but
it wasn't even like defend every week. It's like they would have it like in WCW time. Not to date myself. And this is only if you were a heel champion, which made it 1,000 times better. They never did it as a face.
Mm.
The matches would be a 10-minute time limit.
Mm.
And every match would go to a draw. Seriously, that's what the WCW did with it. And I had no problem with it.
Yeah.
Because the champion retains. They would do it in the pay-per-view, they would extend to like 15 or 20 minutes. And eventually, if the match got over, they'd have another match next month or next time, and be like no time limit.
Oh, that's funny.
It's a good way to it's a good way to test who works and who doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's
But like I
definitely
said,
a good way.
It's only with heel champions. They just ignore the time with the face. They don't give a shit.
Heel's got the rules.
Basically, yeah. Whoever has the gold hat makes the rules. It's rule policy. Yeah,
So
it's
true.
like I said, how many times has Omega Mitch been on Impact Wrestling in this partnership?
I mean, he's done more than I originally expected that he was gonna do. You know, he doesn't wrestle on TV that often. He's done it once, maybe twice, but he has done, a significant amount of pay-per-views. He has been on the episodes, whether it's backstage, whether it's, through a video, whether it's beating somebody up after a match. Like, he has had a presence there. So it's not like he's totally, just completely ignoring them. But yeah, I mean, we're at the point now. I think it's been 3 months maybe since this whole angle started. Impact's gotta get a win. They gotta stop taking L's. Like, getting a win in a tag team, trios match that doesn't matter, where technically you win no matter what, because it was Omega and the Good Brothers, and the Good Brothers are technically Impact wrestlers, so like, you're winning that match even if you're losing that match. Yeah, that doesn't quite count in my book. So they got New Japan with one of their titles, they got AEW with another one of their titles, so it's time to start getting them belts back.
It's now 3-3 in that Golden Knights.
Wow, they just keep matching each other.
Yeah.
Fly hockey's been so good this postseason. All these games go into overtime, and
they've only had one penalty in the game too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Disciplined hockey.
Or just refs aren't calling shit because it's playoff time.
That is also true, and I prefer it to be that way.
It's like
you gotta let the guys go.
It's funny watching like a regular season hockey game than watching a playoff hockey game. It's literally like watching. It's like literally playing a game with turning off all the penalties, and
you just turn them off.
You literally have to maim someone in the playoffs to get called for.
Yeah, it would have to be like a pretty bad penalty to get.
Like, I mean, I think not Conor McGregor. What's his name? Everyone's favorite hockey player, Sidney Crosby, aka the Tom Brady of the NHL. He lopped a dude's finger off, and he didn't even get penalized for it.
Oof! Damn.
Like, the fingertip, it was like this much of it was like gone.
Ugh.
And the guy's like. Spraying like this, spraying blood.
Yeah, like nothing. You're not gonna give him anything. That's crazy.
But I think we covered everything, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We hit our list in under 3 hours.
I'm proud of ourselves. I mean, it wasn't much. I mean, we got we got the big things out of the way. I mean, like I said, I really want to hammer the Pirates because.
Oh, we didn't talk about Julio going to Tennessee.
Oh yeah, Quinteros Lopez Jones. I think Tennessee gave up too much.
They certainly gave up a lot, but I think they're taking a win now mentality, and
Is he gonna play defense?
No, they still have to worry about defending, but
I mean, like,
they did need another kind of top guy there, and.
I love AJ Brown, but it's like, I don't know who is the right fit for them.
I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
I guess we will find out. But
so it was a second this year, a fourth next year, or is in the 2023. I'll clarify when I say next year. When I say this year, it's the 2022 draft. So because everything 2021 is over with. Yeah, it's the second 2022, so third, fourth, and they get a sixth back. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Plus, it kind of made me chuckle when he said he wanted a quarterback with a strong arm, and he went to Tennessee. I mean, Tannehill's got a plenty strong arm, but it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Matt Ryan probably has if he doesn't have a stronger arm, he at least has a more accurate one.
Yeah.
So I don't know necessarily what he was going for there, but I think he was just ready to get out. I mean,
Yeah.
the Falcons are going nowhere no time soon. You know, they're kind of struggling right now. They're in a tough spot, and he wasn't going to win with them. He's getting older. He's getting to that stage where, you know, he wants to get a ring, and he's kind of running out of time to do it. So, well, I mean, if the Bucks weren't calling, then where else are you going to go? Tampa Bay didn't have an opening for you, you know. It seems to be where everybody goes to win.
That's true. Keep going to Kansas City. I'm surprised. He's got a strong arm. He's got a good
Kansas City, I don't know if they need him, honestly. I don't think wide receiver is, you know, a problem for them.
They could have just done it as a sheer luxury trade. I mean, they didn't have the money because they're like right at the cap.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. I don't think anybody.
No one really had the money.
You know, had the money to take on, you know, what he was asking for.
Tannehill had to rework everything. I know that.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but
there's speculation going on still with the Ertz of Buffalo talk.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he hasn't been moved yet. Honestly, everybody's kind of surprised too.
I think it's because his contract number is so high.
That might be part of it.
Like, I'm surprised, because I'm surprised honestly Philly doesn't just cut him.
Well, there's talk that they might. There's talk that it might come down to that. I think they're waiting till, you know, the last minute to see if anybody will give them, you know, anything really. Well, because if they cut him, they're not going to get him anything.
Well, I don't think he's worth anything, unfortunately, because it's like when his cap hits so high, and he's like what 31 or 32.
Yeah, he's on the the back end of. I don't think he's a tier 1 tight end anymore.
No.
But he's
still tier 2.
Is trying to get tier 1 money, because that's what he was on a contract for that. But yeah, no, Philly is definitely ready to walk away from him. They've got Dallas Goedert. They feel very good about him. They just drafted a second tight end who they feel really good about. So yeah, I don't foresee the season opening and Zach Ertz being a Philadelphia Eagle. I don't think that's happening. Go Vegas, go.
Wait, I'm confused. Didn't Colorado win the President's Cup trophy this year?
I don't know.
I only asked because Vegas has got a better record. Whatever.
Are they including playoff wins?
No.
In the record that you're looking at?
I'm just looking at ESPN's. Colorado's 39-13-4, and Vegas is 40-14-2.
Huh. Are you sure that they haven't added? Because when I was looking at the, I think it was the NBA one, it looked like they had added playoff wins to their little standings bar on the side. So I mean that would be the only thing that would make sense, unless Colorado did not actually win the President's Cup.
That's very true.
Or it could be a winning percentage thing.
Yeah, they did.
Was it winning percentage based on how many ties they had?
Yeah, they
overtime losses.
That's actually what it is. Literally, it's because they had more overtime losses.
Yeah, so less. So they have more points, basically.
No, they have the same number of points as Vegas. They both
so I guess for the tiebreaker, they go to it's regular losses or regular time losses versus overtime losses.
I guess so.
That would make sense. It's kind of an odd, thing to go off, but makes sense. Not that often teams tie, I think, in hockey for points. So
point differential, holy cow! Okay, I'm just looking this for fun. Bear with my suicidal thoughts. The Sabres had a minus 61 point differential this year.
True.
For goals.
Jeez.
The Vegas Golden Knights had a plus 67.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
they were not a good team.
They beat your Flyers a few times. That's all I care
about. The Flyers were not a good team, but I don't think we had a negative 60.
You had a winning record.
Did we finish with a winning record? Look at that.
25 and 23 and 8.
Jeez.
We almost did. We were 15, 34 and 7.
So close. But no, it's kind of interesting too with the Julio Jones thing, not to jump around so much, but one of the points I wanted to make was I was reading today that Fox, so I don't know if you heard the story that Shannon Sharp, He's the co-host on Undisputed with Skip Bayless. He had Julio on. Julio didn't know, according to the story, Julio did not know that he was on TV.
Like
he just thought he was calling, his friend was calling him or whatever, trying to get, whatever the case might be. But yeah, he said that he wanted out. And now there's this huge, cloud kind of hanging over things because the Falcons believe that phone call underestimated their ability to negotiate. Like that it completely undermined them.
I'm surprised they don't use Fox.
Everybody knew. Well, there's talk that the NFL is going to do some sort of retaliation. So there was an interesting, when I was reading the story, they were talking about how years ago, back when PBS was doing this documentary on concussions, it was one of those frontline documentaries, ESPN was originally involved in it. A week or so before the documentary was set to air, ESPN pulled out. And the belief is that it was under pressure of the NFL that they pulled out of the documentary
contract
that season, as well as for several seasons afterwards. The NFL continued to give ESPN the worst games. So there is talk that Fox might see some retaliation in that regard, where they will get some of the, they'll air them, but they won't get, because Fox normally gets the whole like America's Game of the Week, which is normally a pretty big game. So there's talk that, the retaliation might come in that form because that hurts Fox's ratings. And, the NFL, where they can hit you most is they hit you in the pocketbooks. They can hit
especially when they just signed a brand new deal too.
They can hit your ratings. Exactly. So it's like they're not going to get out of the deal. They just signed this deal and everything. But, there's talk, make it very difficult for them for a couple years, But that's one of the things that they were talking about. The other thing is Shannon Sharpe might see some legal trouble from this because California is a two-party consent state. Which means if you were going to record a phone call, which technically speaking, because this was aired on television, this is a recording of a phone call, you need both parties' consent. And if Julio is, being honest and saying that he did not know he was on TV, he would not have given consent to that phone call being recorded. You can't do a whole, cover your ass at the end and be like, by the way, I'm recording you. Like, you can't do that at the end. You have to tell the person up front. And, it's the call originated from California. So the way that those things work is wherever the call originates from, that is the rule that you follow.
Like, I actually do that for the show too, by the way. Like, I tell everyone that comes on, like, hey, you're gonna be recorded.
Right, you're gonna be recorded because that's a requirement. I believe. Well, New York might actually be a one-party consent state.
I still do it anyway, just to save my ass.
Right. Yeah. It never hurts. But yeah, so there's talk that he might have some legal trouble. Fox, the NFL is not happy with Fox right now because the Falcons are not happy with the NFL and they're putting pressure on them. Like,
I could see them giving like a
compensation. Falcons want compensation.
You're getting the Jaguars Texans both games.
Yeah, but that's probably the best thing that they can do is retaliate in terms of, okay, we're not, we can't do anything about the contract. We're locked into the contract. We're going to give you the worst games. So ratings are going to go down. Ratings are lower. That puts the NFL in a higher position to negotiate the next. Yeah, we'll be on Fox all the time. The Eagles are normally on Fox though, and for local markets and not CBS.
Nationwide, they're big.
Oh, we barely got nationwide games last year.
Well, that's the joke that you're gonna be nationwide this year because you're gonna be so bad.
Oh, we'll be nationwide. Yeah, that's true. The bad teams will be nationwide. We'll get a Thanksgiving game. They'll switch the schedule around.
Probably.
But yeah, it's very interesting, and we were having the conversation earlier about tampering and all of that, and while that doesn't it doesn't fall under tampering because Shannon Sharpe doesn't represent any team. He wasn't doing it for anything, but it's underhanded and it's gotcha journalism in a manner of speaking, and it's the kind of thing that the Falcons are probably right. If everybody probably already knew that Julio wanted to leave Atlanta, I don't think that was right, and that's kind of the whole thing. Like, it wasn't this best kept secret, but for him to actually go out and say, like, yeah, like, I'm out of here. I'm not staying. I'm going somewhere else.
I think Fox did to get ratings.
So the idea, what's being floated right now, is that the network didn't know what was going to happen. That Shannon Sharpe, kind of went rogue.
Then I'd fire Shannon Sharpe.
Did it? He probably. I don't think he'll get fired. He probably will face some sort of discipline, but yeah, I don't know if they'd quite fire him.
6 months, no suspension, no pay.
It probably will honestly depend on how the NFL decides to retaliate. Because if the NFL, retaliates and they hit them hard, then Fox is going to be like, this is your fault. You're the reason why we're getting these bad games. You're the reason why ratings are down. Like, then they will probably take preemptive action and fire him. But I think right now they're, everybody's just kind of trying to wait to see where this thing goes, how it develops, how hard the NFL comes down on them, and then figure out what happens next.
Because I think the NFL I think they can find a network.
I don't know about that.
The FCC can.
So I guess the NFL then would have to go through the FCC and probably do it that way. I don't know if the NFL unilaterally could do it. That's a good question, though.
Or yeah, I would love to talk to someone who know the answer to, but or go like, you can't talk about football for 6 months. They could do that. You wouldn't get you can't get the rights to our games. Do you? Isn't Fox Sports 1, isn't Fox 0?
But see, I don't know if contractually, if technically, if within this contract, whatever the contract between the NFL and Fox is, if Fox didn't technically do anything to break the contract, if they didn't breach the contract, then I don't know if the NFL can just pull the rights to football, because then it would be the NFL that would be in breach of contract.
I don't know.
It would all depend on the legalese and how it kind of works out. Like, is it breaking the contract for one of your reporters to, get a scoop essentially out of a player? With the exception of, breaking two-party consent, which is separate from the whole NFL issue. And that's that only is going to get pursued if Julio Jones and his attorney decide to do anything. And right now the expectation is they're not going to do anything, because he got what he wanted out of it in the end. He didn't really suffer. But Atlanta's not the ones that get to sue Shannon Sharpe. The only one who could sue Shannon Sharpe would be Julio Jones, because it was his recording that was used without permission. And the thought process right now is that he got what he wanted. He got out of Atlanta. He has nothing to lose here. It's not like he is going to, it's like $2,000 he would get sued for, or something stupid like that. So the thought is that he's probably not going to take that route. So Shannon Sharpe is probably not going to face legal consequences. Will he face consequences from Fox? Again, I don't know. It depends on, how everything goes down with the NFL, what the NFL chooses to do. Because I don't think contractually he technically did anything wrong. I don't think it's, a breach of contract for him to have a player on and for him to, get information out of the player.
I think if it's unsourced or unvetted, I should say, might be.
But is it unvetted if it's coming directly from the source?
But if this, I would say yes, because in the sense it's not validated that that the person knew they were on the record. Because as soon as you're on TV, you're on the record. As soon as you're on TV, you're on the record.
Right. But I wonder if just the very nature of, him talking to the player.
We would need a communications specialist.
If that would, you'd have to have a media ethics person to kind of talk about, the difference between. I mean, I know some professors who could probably lend advice to the topic, but yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to see how the fallout from this kind of goes and what action is taken, as far as action that's taken against Fox, action that's taken against Shannon Sharp. But right now, it's just kind of wait and see.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting a little tired.
Hey, it's 11 o'clock. We hit 3 hours. We can stop now. We hit our quota. We gave the people what they wanted. A full Monday Night Raw.
And it's nothing that they talk about on like Russo's thing, by the way, because like, he never wanted 3 hours.
I don't see why anyone would.
Well,
hard to fill.
Well, the reason why Vince sees it because he gets so much money from Viacom to do it.
That's true. It's always about money.
It is. That's the thing. Was like because Brian Vinny mentioned, it's like, dude, this was 3 hours back before like Raw was ever thinking about doing it, and they got played diddly shit for it.
Yeah, true. But yeah, they do not have the content to fill 3 hours of TV that people actually want to watch.
Well, the saddest thing is like WCW did. Like their roster was so bloated.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like WWE's roster today.
Jeez.
I mean, they had something like 300 guys under contract then.
That's pretty crazy.
I mean,
but just having the talent though isn't the same as booking a 3-hour show. Like, because WWE has a lot of talented wrestlers, and I do think that SmackDown is the better talent show right now. It's kind of gone back to the way that it was before, where SmackDown is the wrestling heavy show, and your technical wrestlers and your indie wrestlers are there, and Raw is just kind of the like, here's some weird shit. But
except for Roman Reigns is the Universal Champion on SmackDown.
Well, who would have ever in a million years thought that? Like, I knew that he was going to be a good heel. I never would have thought that he would have been this good, and that literally everything he does turns to gold. Like, he has the Midas touch right now. Yeah, he has the Midas touch right now.
Is it Jeremy including his wrist?
Including his wrist, yes. Yes, his Thanos-esque. I do like that.
I'm sorry they don't sell one. Like,
yeah, that is kind of surprising that they don't do that.
Because they would probably make a couple bucks off that.
Oh yeah, they sold AJ's gloves.
They sold AJ's jacket.
They sold AJ's everything when he first came.
They still are. They still do.
Yeah, they do still. It doesn't sell as well as it did back then, but yeah, it's definitely still.
He's still probably one of the top sellers. It's just Roman's just like light years ahead.
He's blowing everybody out of the water now. But yeah, I mean, just Raw, like, they have talented wrestlers. That's not their biggest issue. It's how they book them and how they are telling these stories, over the course of 3 hours. It's not good. You could have all the talent in the world. If you don't know how to book a 3-hour show, you shouldn't have a 3-hour show.
You know how good Roman Reigns is as a heel?
How good is Roman Reigns as a heel?
CM Punk is even called him the best heel.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I thought that was really funny. We went from make Roman look strong to Roman Reigns is the best thing going in WWE right now. So, Hey, Reigns wants to fight Punk. I mean, everybody's trying to get that man out of retirement. I don't think he will at this point.
No, they just want to beat the shit out of him. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's probably part of it, but I think everybody looks at that as like, this is a money match. Like, this is what fans want to see. Fans want to see Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, where Roman Reigns is probably the guy you root for at this point. I think Punk, I think yes, people will pop for him if he returns, but I think the window for him to be like, I used to say back when AEW first started, I was like, he's your needle mover. If you can get CM Punk, it's 2018. If you can get CM Punk.
Oh, sorry, they do sell it, by the way.
Oh, they do? He's like purchasing one. But yeah, like if you can.
It's not even close to gold. That's what makes it tough.
No, it's probably like a fake plasticky kind of thing.
Not even. It's way worse.
Oh, that's why it's only $14.
What's on sale?
It's a replica. But yeah, like if you're AEW, it's 2018, and I get it. They had Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's big name. They got
But he's got
Moxley
both of them.
right away. But yeah, like imagine if you have CM Punk at if maybe it's not your first pay-per-view. Maybe you get him at the next pay-per-view, but yeah, like he
Go with the whole
was
gambling
the
thing.
guy who would move the needle. You
Like,
talk
you had
about
in
like
the Battle Royal tournament. Like,
right. There were so many opportunities that I looked at. I was like, this is when you get Punk. This is when you get Punk. This is when you get Punk. They never did, and maybe he wanted too much money. Maybe they just couldn't come to terms. Maybe he
I
really
just think he's
doesn't.
Slow,
Yeah, maybe he really doesn't want to wrestle again.
well,
He
I think he can't stand
dangles the carrot, but doesn't actually want to.
Well, rumor has it he's not fond of like half the drama between all the vice presidents.
Yeah, I did hear that. But at the time, the drama wasn't going on. So like when the first offers were talked about, everything was still pretty kosher.
Stand one of them.
That's also possible. It's very possible that he, doesn't like. He seems to not like a lot of people, so it wouldn't surprise me. But
would it be the Young Bucks by any chance?
That would be my guess. If there was somebody that he didn't like, it would probably be the Young Bucks.
And Brock Lesnar tag team deathmatch. Book it.
That's.
Hey, you can get the Roman Reigns. You can get the Roman Reigns. This is my yard. Like for $15.
Keep dreaming.
Oh, but it's itchy. I would wear that if they came in my size because I don't hate the colors.
No. It's hard to tell what colors it is.
It's black and blue.
Oh, no, that's not bad.
Well, let's try this again. Take two.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's my yard ugly sweater.
And it's only $15.
Bye. But yeah, I mean, Punk coming back would still be a big deal, but the window of it being as huge as it could have been, I think that time has passed.
Lesnar, if you could get freaking Reigns, Punk, and stuff and maybe even do bait and switch at SummerSlam because the rumors it's to be Reigns, Cena.
Yeah, Reigns, Cena, and Lesnar, Lashley, if they can get that.
That's
match.
A hell of a get either way.
Oh yeah. Even if you only get one of those two, it's a big match because this would be the actual,
especially doing it in the Allegiant Stadium,
pass torching for Roman or torch passing for Roman compared to what was done before. Yeah, I probably would. I would have him go over the same way that Lesnar went over Cena when Cena was at the height of his run. Yeah, like literally just demolish him. Have him. Cena comes back and basically have Roman be like, "You should have stayed retired. I warned you. I told you this is not your company anymore. This is my company."
You gotta make him bleed.
Yeah, you do. You literally, you have Roman go over in such a big way that he gets to come out afterwards and basically say, like,
"I was right.
I told you guys he couldn't do it anymore. I told you guys this is my company. People need to stop coming up to me thinking that they can win. It's not going to happen." Yeah, literally have him go over so big.
Yeah, him just obliterate him.
Yeah, like I put Cena back in retirement.
Or I made him permanently retired.
Yeah, there you go. I permanently retired him. He will never step foot in a ring again because of the injuries that I gave him.
Yeah. And I would honor it.
The only way you could do that, though, is if Cena really was going to retire. And I don't know if they would go that route because I think right now Cena is going to slot into Vince's Undertaker role. I think he is going to become the go-to guy when Vince needs a big name for a big match. I think that's going to be Cena.
He's been there forever.
But now that Undertaker is seemingly officially retired until Saudi Arabia comes with a $2 million paycheck to work 15 minutes, I think Cena now kind of becomes that guy that they lean on, like that Vince can go to and be like, "Look, I know you're busy, I know you're doing this, but we need you. We need you for WrestleMania. We need a big draw. You're still a big draw." Like I think he becomes that guy. Because I don't know who else it would be. I think, yes, Cena's busy, but The Rock is busier. And The Rock is somebody who, he'll come back. He will do the Roman Reigns match, But I think that's it. I don't think, you know, you're gonna get once he puts his cousin over, I think that's probably it for him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
like he might come back and, you know, hold a flamethrower at WrestleMania again and like be a host and, you know, beat Eric Rowan in 6 seconds, but like whatever, you know, I don't think he's going to wrestle a traditional match again.
No, I think he's done after that.
Yeah.
And I know they'll work on it like crazy.
Oh yeah. If this match can come to fruition, this is going to have the same kind of build that the Cena Rock match did. Like they will be building this out for a year. Well, because it's supposed to be in Hollywood.
Yeah,
the talk is that it's going to be at SoFi. It's going to be that WrestleMania.
And I'm fine with that. That's smart.
That's the perfect place to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like The Rock is in his element. And
yeah, he's in Hollywood.
Roman can treat it like, fine, you're Hollywood. That's what you do now. But we may be in Hollywood, but in this ring, like this is my element. This is no longer your element.
Or make him sound like do exactly did like 03. You sold out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but like you're the past. I'm the present. I'm the future.
9 years of the past. Like I said, you sold out. You gave up. You only had a 5-year. You got a 6-year career.
Yeah.
I've been here since 2012. I've been here longer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when you think about it, The Rock really did not.
He started in '96.
Wrestled that long.
No, he really didn't.
Compared to, Roman Reigns, who at this point has been doing it for 10, 11 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think he came to FCW. I think it might have been like 2010. Might have been 2011. Oh, maybe. Maybe it was even as early as 2009. But yeah, I mean, he has the longevity. He's the guy who can make the claim to being like, I'm here. This is my
Or I stayed loyal.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like kind of the same way that Cena did Rock when he was like,
yes,
this is my life. Like you chose to do these other things, but I never left. And the irony of it, of course, being Cena literally became Rock Jr. But yeah, I mean, Roman Reigns kind of going at it from that perspective.
His televised debut was August 19th, 2010.
Okay, so 11 years. By the time they do the match, it'll be 13, I think.
Yeah. He's like, I was on top for 13 years. What were you doing?
Yeah, and he basically was. He comes up in 2012, runs crazy with the Shield, and then he becomes the singles guy for the next 7 years. Plus, it'll be 9 years at that point in time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, obviously won't say, but I'm the only guy besides Cena to do this for this long.
Yeah.
Not even your buddy Hulk Hogan did it.
Right, to be on top for that long and that sustained. And yeah, I mean, there's so much that they can do with it. There's so many ways that they can take it. They take the family approach, of course, and Roman Reigns like acknowledge me, like you're done. Acknowledge me. I don't care who you are. It'd be funny if he like threw the Rock's catchphrase back at him, like doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your name is, you acknowledge me because this is my company now. This is my world. So yeah, they've got tons of stuff to do. Or just simply say
this was never your company.
That's true. Yeah, could always throw that there.
I mentioned also my name. Like, why? Then if you were so good, why were you number 2 to Austin?
Right. I'm not number 2 to anybody. Like clearly, at this point in time, this is Roman Reigns' company.
Yeah, this is my world.
Taking it, hands over. Yeah, but like you have the Usos involved too, and however you want to work that situation out. But yeah, I mean, I'm almost tempted to. Is Rikishi getting him with
the car though? That's the only question. I did it for The Rock.
No, but this time he did it for Roman, because he acknowledged him. Even Rikishi.
Oh, jokes aside, have him like almost hit The Rock with a car.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny. Yeah, throw everything back, like, because Roman's the head of the family now. That's where things are at. Like, he is, and I think, Roman, he calls himself the tribal chief now. I would have him go out there and call himself High Chief. Literally, like, take Peter Maivia's name, call himself the High Chief. There's no shortage of stuff that they can do there. And I really hope that it comes together. I really hope, I know The Rock wants the match. I hope he decides
It will.
not to make 3,000 movies that year so he can actually do the match. And
I'm sure he'd
You
make. I think he'd fit it out. I think he'd do it.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
by then, I don't think they're going to go fast 12. I think we're safe.
yeah. It's true.
I think they're fast 9.
That'll be Hobbs and Shaw 3, you know,
Well,
because he's doing that now. But
yeah.
yeah, it's the opportunity is too great for them not to do this, and I'm almost at the point where leave Roman as champion until you do this. Like there's
You have a 4-year reign for him.
well, yeah, that's the only thing.
I'm not
Like
opposed. If you do it right.
there's logic as to why it makes sense to leave it that way, but there's also maybe you just do, okay, he's been champ now for a bunch of time, somebody wins the title off of him, they hold it for a month, Roman gets it back, then he's champ again for a bunch of months. Like, if you're gonna have him lose the title, you have to have him keep having sustained long reigns, because that is where the argument of being the best is. Like, he can't go into this Rock feud having just lost the title, or having like been champion for a week and then he loses the title or whatever. Like, he has to be the guy.
I mean, could you imagine though having him go for 2 more years with a championship and going to Mania? They could do it.
Honestly, the way now, I know people have short attention spans, and I know they probably get tired of it.
But they're giving a new contender every month.
The way that they have booked him to this point, I think that they could. I think that they could do it.
Well,
and I almost, put in the situation where like the draft comes up and they move him to Raw, because there's nothing about his gimmick that has to be on SmackDown. He is just the tribal chief. He is the head of the table. He's not just the head of the table at SmackDown the way that he sees it. He's the head of the table for the whole damn company. So you have him beat everybody at SmackDown.
Or you troll.
There's no one left.
Or you troll every indie fan ever. I mean,
Take
come on,
the
he's
title.
Well, not even that. Like, you give him title shots every month.
Yeah.
Say and then the fans will eat it up because they'll be like, this guy can beat him.
Right.
Give him think about it, you've had him beat in the last 2 months. You've had him beat Cesaro, who's probably one of the biggest internet darlings. You're gonna beat Daniel Bryan.
Right. He's beating all your favorites, is what they're doing right now.
Have him destroy
He beat Kevin Owens.
Yeah, beat Kevin Owens. Have him beat Sami Zayn. Have him just.
Yeah, they'll definitely do the Seth Rollins match. I thought that they were gonna do that at SummerSlam, but I think that would have made sense. But I think they're trying to draw it out as long as they can.
And if they have him kill Cena, like we said, they could buy him a year.
True. Oh yeah, definitely.
And he's unbeatable, no matter who it is.
Yeah, and you have him take the approach where it's like, I'm not defending my title against you. Like, you're not good enough. You haven't earned it. Like, literally let him call his shots, because then you can kind of take that Brock Lesnar approach where he's not fighting all the time,
he's still on TV.
But he's still on TV.
And earn your keep.
A lot of good ideas, Vince. Really hope you're listening to the podcast. We constantly, every week, we're constantly giving you really good booking ideas.
Mainly the one in 2026 at WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, I haven't booked the card for that yet, but I do know the location. Lincoln Financial Field. Broad and Pattison. Be there. 2026. April, whatever.
Just don't make sure there's not Easter Sunday involved.
Yes, don't do it that day. Maybe Easter will be in March.
He's been really good about that. I'll give him credit for that.
Well, it's smart. Like, he's no dummy.
Yeah, he's like, no one's gonna fucking watch this thing.
Yeah.
Because we gotta watch the 10 Commandments. Which
is ironic. Show that? Does it still come on every year?
Oh yeah.
10 Commandments and Ben-Hur.
Yep. Which is funny because 10 Commandments, I think, is still longer than any WrestleMania ever.
Probably. Yeah, it's quite a long movie.
I think it's actually like 4 hours, all jokes aside.
Yeah.
And I think I've watched it about 20 times.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grandma. Love you.
No, and the other thing is too, I know they're talking about the potential of keeping the 2-night WrestleMania, which I think they should. I don't think there's
Oh, breaks
any
it up,
reason
great.
not to. There's so many pros to it.
One,
2026,
make more money.
2-night WrestleMania. Man.
Maybe having 2 different venues in Philadelphia, or having
Yep.
one, or having it like Lincoln one night and having like in DC.
No. Boo.
Shut
No.
up.
DC
No.
has nothing to do with the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of
No
Independence.
one cares about that.
That's the whole point of this whole thing, of this whole dream
Movie between-
scenario that I've come up with.
Move between venues, like have one at Simpson Bay Park and have one like,
That you could do.
and have one and be like in Scranton the next night.
Scranton. No. No Scranton, no Pittsburgh, no Reading. No.
Oh, come on, definitely Reading. Reading would
No,
be good.
no New York, no New Jersey right over the bridge, no Delaware, no.
Definitely Delaware because the president's gonna be there.
Philadelphia. Well, he won't be. Well, he could still be the president in 2026.
I don't.
That would
but
be a
he'd
second
like
term.
7 years old.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, yeah, there is our political joke of the night.
Did we make multiple political jokes? Talk
Usually,
about the president, former president, refusing
Yeah.
to lose.
that's
Got
true.
2 in.
Yes.
So I think
We're
that's
good.
a good note to.
Yeah, we made fun of both parties. We're good.
Yep. That's keeping it neutral.
Yep.
We're an unbiased podcast.
No,
Except
we're
when it
biased.
comes to our hatred of someone's
Philadelphia.
hatred of the Patriots and someone else's hatred of the Cowboys. Other than that,
Everything
we're
that-
totally unbiased.
and everything else with the NL and the NL East. Yeah, so let's see. Any update on the score? Let's see.
Yeah, that game go final.
There,
Usually
I know
all
that
the Clippers are playing close. Clippers down 4.
it's halfway through the third. That it's 4-3 Vegas. Uh-oh, the Yankees took the lead.
I thought they were winning.
They're up like 5. They expanded to 5-3 now.
Oh. Who are they playing again?
The T's. I can't say the full name.
The T's? The Twins?
Yeah, they got to win a game, to be considered. Did you ever see that? You remember Michael? Before we go, you remember Michael Collins, right?
Yeah.
I posted something. I think it was like what the Twins have done is like mathematically like won like in 205,000, losing 18 straight playoff games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he goes, "That's just payback for the World Series in '91 when McMullin pulled what's his name off first base."
Hmm.
If you've never seen that, that's like the most shadiest thing like in baseball. He's got the guy. He takes the guy's leg and he just does a single leg takedown, pulls him off the base, and
yeah.
they ruled the guy out.
Oh. Yeah, baseball's supposed to be a non-contact sport.
Well, no, it wasn't even the fact that it was non-contact. The guy that plays like clearly dead,
Yeah.
and he's like got the ball in his hand. He's got it in his mitt. He like lifts the guy's leg up. It's
Jeez.
like, I don't think that's quite legal.
It must have been.
Or the ref, or the umpire's like, yeah, that's cute. We'll count it.
Yeah, that's funny. The T's. They haven't
Yeah,
earned.
that's-
They haven't
that's what
earned the
you're
rest of
called.
their name.
Yeah, he's like, until they win a game, until they win the playoff game, they're the T's.
The Minnesota T's.
That's marketable.
We got the Minnesota Timberwolves. That also
Yes.
starts with a T.
But I think they've won a playoff game more recently.
They probably have.
Dodgers beat the Pirates in 8 innings.
Yeah, I think it was a doubleheader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's weird seeing a game end in 8. But when it's doubleheader, it technically would end
I
in
don't think
7,
it
so
is.
8's an extra inning.
I think it's went extra innings.
Oh, maybe it just maybe it rained and they decided to just call it. Because once a game goes, I think it's once it's 7.
Yeah, it was raining because I remember John Mathis was complaining about
It's
the
a
rain.
technical game. So yeah, that's
He-
probably what happened.
He was complaining about the rain this week. It rains too much in Pennsylvania. I'm like, dude, you live in LA. It rains like a quarter inch a year.
There was all the
Shut up.
time.
But I think that's all I got for you today. It's like, I mean, I think it's like Vegas is going to pull off, and that's a decent sized surprise. I mean, Colorado's a good team, and just
Gosh, we
Jesus,
turned
it's
this into 3.5 hours anyway. It's 11:30.
course.
Just think if we do this on a Friday night, we could go to like 2 in the morning again.
Oh my gosh, no more 2 a.m.s unless you want me to fall asleep mid podcast again.
Well, you got the break on the old podcast where your phone would hang up.
That's true. Yeah, it literally would not allow longer than a 2-hour call.
It was clockwork on your phone.
It was so weird.
I think your phone does not register it was like the Y2K problem. Like
I don't know. Yeah, it's so weird. Like a phone, you should not drop a conversation after a certain amount of time. It literally always happens.
Have you talked to someone for over 2 hours on your phone?
No, I don't think so. I think the podcast was the only. The only thing.
See if it's it, because it might. If it's the same phone, maybe that's all it is.
Maybe.
Like, it doesn't register the second.
Maybe I'll just test it. Just call somebody and just leave it blank for 2 hours.
See what happens, like. And then someone will be like, then your mom will probably be like, Mary Lee, why'd you call this person? It's like, who do you know in Rochester for 2 hours?
It's a good thing. Good thing their minutes are unlimited.
I think because they'll see the phone calls, or at least they used to see like who you call when.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
yeah, maybe next podcast, I'll just call. I'll just leave the phone.
Yeah, I'll mute my phone. We can just do
on
that
the desk, and we'll see how it goes.
And like, hey, and we lost.
And there it is again.
And tradition resumes.
So weird. Yeah, that was crazy.
We Phil and I have so many jokes about that. It's like, and this week's tradition can continue.
We're at the point, like, all right, I'll call back in. I'll see you guys in a minute.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, mid sentence too.
Yeah, you're trying to 5 words in like a nanosecond.
Oh man. Hey, he kept us structured though. I tell you.
No, he didn't. He was the worst one of all.
That's being sarcastic.
Okay, Phil's no longer coming on our show.
Phil, come on our show. We talk all sports now, not just combat sports.
I think he'd be okay with that.
Somehow though, even then, we managed to talk 3 hours about just combat sports. So the fact that we're talking all sports in 3.5 hours is somewhat of a minor miracle.
Well, because we try to do a weekly show, and there's not much like, I mean, there has been like really no one's like really died. It's notable.
Yeah.
That was like the running joke for like the first like month of our show.
It was the TNA Death Watch.
TNA Death Watch. It was like human Death Watch. It was like every week someone's died.
Well, that's also true.
It's like hey, our lead story. Hey, guess who died?
Yeah, we had a lot of obits.
Yes.
So knock on wood. Not trying to
very fondly of the dead.
Not trying to kill anybody off. You know, this podcast supports life. We like the living.
I can give you names if you want. And addresses, maybe.
Don't will it into existence.
Why? It's more fun that way. Is it a crime to talk about it?
I don't know. Only if people are listening.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody, no crime.
On that note, before we turn into a making of a murderer podcast here.
I was just saying, if I do it for money, I only go to jail for tax evasion.
Good night. Good show.
See you in 50 years.
See you when I post your bail.
I'd be much obliged.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, all jokes aside, it was a great show, and like I said, we'll probably plan one for next week, hopefully.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yep. See you.
Yep. Have a good night.